Catherine Gaffney now for the latest news headlines. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Greg. Sinn Féin's health spokesperson is expressing concern about the impact the lack of reform in the health system is having on people. The Business Post has leaked recordings of the Department of Health's meeting with the HSE, claiming its recruitment crisis could affect the opening of new hospitals. The newspaper also reveals questions were raised about the need for a supplementary budget of over €500 million in 2020. The Department of Health says no official of the department has given consent to be recorded while carrying out their duties, and it hasn't received these alleged recordings. Sinn Féin's health spokesperson David Cullinan says senior well-paid officials in the department need to deliver for the health service.
We need to keep the focus clearly on where it needs to be. The Minister for Health is responsible for driving reform, and obviously we have very, very senior people both in the department and the HSE who are on huge salaries to deliver change, and that's what needs to happen. We need to see the plan that the Minister and these senior officials have to reduce wait times, to reduce the levels of overcrowding in our hospitals.
ESB crews are continuing to carry out repair works as a significant number of Donegal homes and businesses remain without power due to Storm Franklin. Milford, Rosgear and Convoy are among the worst affected areas. A full list of closures and other updates is available on our website highlandradio.com. Ryan Tapley is from the ESB.
Letterkenny, Killybegs and Sligo, our crews have started mobilising since first light this morning, so we'll be working on assessing the damage in the northwest and repairing and restoring supply over the course of today.
The Minister for the OPW has agreed to meet with Donegal County councillors to discuss a number of planned flood relief projects in Donegal. It's after the OPW was heavily criticised in recent weeks by a number of councillors over refusing to attend meetings. Local representatives have been concerned that important projects are effectively shelved until there is proper engagement with the OPW. Minister Patrick O'Donovan was in Donegal last week on other matters, but promised he would meet with councillors in due course.
He said to us that he wanted to talk to the Chief Executive first and go through those things, and that he would come back as soon as he possibly can to meet with the Letterkenny Municipal District and to discuss those, flood mitigation issues and so on. So he was very open about that, and no doubt they'll do that, and accept his point that he wanted to get a briefing on the issues first from the Chief Executive.
And that was the Cathaoirleach of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District, Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh, speaking on hopes for that meeting. Finally, the government's announcing a number of new initiatives to support remote working. The government's already repurposed buildings like old train stations and cinemas into remote working hubs. A new mobile app is being launched today to allow people to book workspaces in their local hubs, while a new €5 million fund will be available for further investment. Minister Heather Humphreys says a new information campaign is also being launched.
I want people to know that whether you're in Cork or Drogheda, Wicklow or Limerick, there's a hub there for you. And this week we will have 200 hubs available on the Connected Hubs network. More are joining the Connected Hub network all the time, and we have a target of 400 by 2025. But I'm very confident we'll meet that target much sooner than that.
Weather now. Scattered showers will gradually die out this morning, and there will be a good deal of dry and bright weather in the morning and early afternoon. Temperatures of 7 to 10 degrees. We're back with more 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
My family needs refreshing. So we're off to Centre Parks.
Come on,
Rediscovering the great outdoors.
re-energising on the zip wire over the lake.
Recharging in Aquasana Spa.
Refueling at Hope's American Bar and Grill.
Reconnecting with each other. Centre Parks. Family refreshed.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, a very good morning to you. 5 minutes past 9 on this Monday, the 21st of February 2022. I do hope you're well, and you're very welcome along to another week of the 9 to Noon Show. Lots coming up on the programme. We are going to be celebrating 50 years of the Dungloe Band after 11 o'clock, or marking the event. Brendan Devaney will be in reflecting on the weekend sports. If you have any comments on any of the games that you watched over the weekend, get them into us now. And we'll be getting the latest on Storm Franklin, that and so much more besides. So get involved with the conversation. You can WhatsApp or text 086 60 25,000. 086 60 25,000, or call us on 07491 25,000. So a lot of us didn't get much sleep last night, did we? Storm Franklin battered the northwest overnight with thousands without power and some homes damaged as well. Met Éireann had issued an orange weather warning. That's the same as the two storms last week, but I think a lot of us out there may be feeling, why wasn't a stronger warning issued for last night? Met Éireann, though, says that red warnings are reserved for rare severe events. Was last night a rare severe wind event in your view? In terms of wind for a red status warning, mean speeds must consistently exceed 80 kilometres per hour. I don't know if that actually happened. It felt very much like it did. And gusts, there must be gusts in excess of 130 kilometres per hour. Those are the criteria for a red weather warning. The highest gust I saw off Malin before I fell asleep eventually was 126 kilometres per hour. So on that metric, maybe it wouldn't be seen as a red wind warning. For orange, winds must be over 65 and up to 80k, which we did see, kilometres per hour. Gusts between 110 and 130 kilometres per hour. They were seen more consistently across the west coast and in the northwest. In its weather forecast sent to us, because we get a regional weather forecast, last evening Met Éireann did warn of gale-force winds, damaging gusts, high seas and coastal flooding for Donegal, all of which happened. But I think maybe what the problem is, for those that think it could have been a more severe warning over the weekend, is that perhaps because it wasn't Dublin based, etc., we didn't get the national media focusing on it strongly enough on those warnings. Or if they were, I didn't see all of the media. People didn't take notice up here. So what do you think? As I say, the easiest thing would be to jump in this seat and sort of go, Met Éireann, this, that and the other. But I thought, I'd look through the criteria a little bit and see what the story is. And that is the factual situation. But I know lots of people were messaging me overnight saying, if this isn't red, I don't know what is. I think dependent on where the winds are coming from. Last night we had winds, onshore winds, which particularly battered the coasts and had more of an impact on coastal flooding and what have you. But anyway, that's the lay of the land. But what do you think? 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp or text number, as I mentioned. Or give us a call on 07491 25,000 and have your say on that or anything else that you want to talk about this morning. The Donegal News this morning tells us that Gardaí investigating the murder of a Dungloe man in 2005 are reported to be examining allegations of Garda involvement in his death. 36-year-old Sean Duffy was attacked and fatally wounded in his home at Cross Dungloe in the early hours of Saturday morning, January 29th of 2005. So it's not that long since we had a renewed information appeal on this programme. Well, investigators have been told the murder may be connected to the disappearance of James Curran, who was 64, from Dungloe in July 2003. This is off the back of a Sunday Times newspaper report that the intelligence suggests that Duffy had allegedly discovered that a car driven by Gardaí had hit and killed Curran, and he had tried to extort favours from the officers involved, which led to a confrontation. Duffy worked as a mechanic, you see, and had allegedly been asked to repair the damaged car that was involved in the incident. Gardaí are also pursuing other lines of inquiry into Sean's murder. Sean had been socialising in the Strandview bar in Mahary in Friday 28th January 2005. Now, of course, the focus of the story, yesterday's story, was on Mr. Duffy, but of course there is the family of James Curran, who are very keen, I'm sure, to find out his whereabouts or what became of him. So there are two families involved in this, and I know some members of the Curran family reached out to me over the weekend, keen to see all avenues relating to his disappearance being pursued, but I won't reference that any further just at this time. On to the Derry news now, and lecturers at the Derry campus of the University of Ulster have defended their right to strike following a number of dissenting student voices. While student support for lecturers on the picket line of the Magee campus has largely been positive, a number have expressed dissent at having their classes cancelled. 10 selected days of industrial action have been voted on by the Universities and Colleges Union and scheduled in advance, with the final walkout to take place at the beginning of next month. Right, to now the Irish Independent. If you haven't had enough of the weather, first came the wind, now comes the chill. Snow and sub-zero temperatures will follow on the tail of an unprecedented third major storm in the space of a week after Dudley and Eunice. They were just regular winter days for us here in the northwest, weren't they? Ireland is today being battered by high winds caused by Storm Franklin. As the third storm clears, the country will be hit by sub-zero temperatures with snow and frost as the weather takes a polar turn. Met Éireann has forecast that on Wednesday night, rain will clear and make way for sleet and possible snow on higher ground, with temperatures dropping to -2 and only reaching a potential high of +1. Now, it's interesting in that I received many messages over the weekend, many to me on, given the context of what I'm about to say, is about 4 or 5 or 6, maybe 6, from people who are convinced, and when I say convinced, I mean convinced, that these latest 3 storms were generated by man via chemtrails and other means. I didn't get into the nitty gritty as to what the motive might be, but sort of post-COVID, here comes the storms sort of a thing. Might read up on it a little bit more, but as I say, people out there absolutely convinced that Storm Franklin was a man-made event. Right. Okay, the Irish Times this morning tells us that France is leading a Western diplomatic drive to defuse the explosive crisis between Moscow and Kiev after shelling intensified in eastern Ukraine, and the United States said Russia appeared to be on the brink of launching a major new attack on its neighbour. French President Emmanuel Macron spoke to Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky yesterday as some 150,000 Russian troops and heavy weaponry manoeuvred near Ukraine's northern, southern and eastern borders. The LC Palace said the French and Russian leaders agreed on the need to push for a diplomatic solution to the current crisis and to do everything to achieve it. So Biden's agreed, Putin's agreed. I think diplomats meet on Thursday to thrash out the terms of that meeting. But one wonders if by Thursday could it be too late, because the Americans say they will not be entering that process if Russia actually does begin its full-on onslaught. The Irish Daily Mail this morning, the government faces an internal revolt over a raft of new taxes and levies on inflation as inflation eats into people's pockets. Now, I think if I said to you that there's a Fianna Fáil politician, for example, that's threatening to quit the party. We all know there's a few of them, isn't there? One already left, Mark McSherry. He pulled the trigger on his threats. But another is Willie O'D. He's always on the brink, isn't he, of going his own way. Well, a series of excise duties and levies on fuel, power and consumer items such as alcohol, cigarettes and sugary drinks brought in just under $6 billion. Despite the scale of the new levies, Finance Minister Pascal Donoghue has ruled out any reduction in them. Hard-pressed families are under intense pressure as soaring energy costs bite into their budgets, and this is causing political discontent. And Willie O'D has fired a shot across the bows of party leader Micheál Martin with the declaration that he will quit the party. Turn to page 6 to find out why, if it goes into a new coalition. So unless Fianna Fáil goes into opposition or magically wins enough votes to lead government on its own, Willie O'D's leaving. Okay. Right, now, I don't think Micheál Martin is too upset about people who are sort of, inside and outside at the same time if they leave, especially in the context of a general election. You could lose or gain seats. That means it wouldn't make much difference. The Irish Daily Mirror. The government is to bring in a new jail sentence which will help put the leaders of Kinahan mobs behind bars for life. Gang boss Daniel Kinahan and his father Christy are now based in Dubai, where they've tried to reinvent themselves as legitimate businessmen despite being the biggest smugglers of cocaine into this country. Now, they have done a reasonable job of rehabilitating themselves, I think. And that's not in credit to them. I'm saying that's what they've done. Justice Minister Helen McEntee said it's my intention in the forthcoming Criminal Justice Miscellaneous Provision Bill to raise the maximum sentence for conspiracy to murder. The government is committed to ensuring Ireland is a safe and secure place for all. On to the Irish Sun now, and very sad news from the political world and for his family, of course, in Northern Ireland. Tributes have been pouring in all weekend for the DUP politician Christopher Stalford, who died suddenly at the age of just 39 at the weekend. The senior DUP MLA was first elected as a councillor in Belfast in 2005 before going on to the Northern Ireland Assembly in 2016. Taoiseach Micheál Martin yesterday led tributes to the DUP politician, who he said worked tirelessly to improve housing and education. And from all, despite people's political or other views, there was an awful lot of very warm tributes to that gentleman over the weekend, so hopefully that brings some comfort to his family. And finally, in the Star today, family meals at the dinner table is key to raising healthy eaters, according to an expert in child nutrition. Paediatric dietitian Kathy Monaghan says parents should ditch the fashionable baby recipe books and get back to basics with their kids. Family meals are the beginning of a lifetime relationship with food. A healthy meal is one you'll enjoy together, she said. It's important to note that 90% of what children eat is in the home. So ask yourselves, what's happening at the kitchen table? All right. I understand exactly where she's coming from, and in an ideal world, yeah, fantastic. But time is, it's hard to get everyone to sit down at the same time with all the distractions and work that has to be done and what have you. Anyway, we'll be back with more on the programme after these.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
For reliable, efficient and affordable home heating technologies, including the HVO biofuel compatible Vortex condensing boiler, highly efficient Arona heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating, look no further than Grant to heat your home now and into the future. Think heating, think Grant. Visit grant.eu.
Is your water safe to drink? If your water tastes unpleasant or has a foul smell, it may be a sign that something is in your water. Brothers Tech Donegal provide a complete private well water treatment service using the best water treatment equipment to meet your needs. Or maybe you drilled a new well and the water isn't satisfactory. At Brothers Tech, their expert team will also service existing problematic systems. If you're concerned about the quality of your water, call Brothers Tech on 087 638 7057.
In harsh winter weather, Watson Hire have all you need to stay safe and keep warm. There's great deals on coal, Keller gas, firewood and heating oil with free local delivery. Also electric, fan, halogen and oil-filled heaters. See in-store and the fuel store at watsonhire.ie. Great offers on winter clothing and boots. And for any hire items, there's still the weekend hire deal of 3 days for the price of one. All at Watson Hire, Kiltoy, Letterkenny, with free parking at the door.
70, 70, 70, 70, 70, 70, 70. Shoot, shoot!
Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring up to 70% off sale is now on. Everything's reduced. All tiles, all bathware, all wood flooring. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring, 70% off sale is leaving the station. Sale now on.
Shoot, shoot!
Hi, Hugo Duncan here, and I'm bringing you my classic country show to the Millennium Forum, Derry, on Thursday the 24th of February. I'll be joined there by my good friends Susan McCann, Tony Allen, John McNichol, Niamh Lynn, Crawford Bell and Trina Allen. Tickets from the Theatre Box office and online.
Highland Radio Time Checks, brought to you by Letterkenny Shopping Centre, the centre of shopping in Donegal. Free parking and shopping all under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
Good morning to you again at 19 minutes past 9. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. Greg, I live in a house which clearly has mica, says this caller. But I'm not tested because I know I'm at the very early stages of it. But last night I had a huge reality check. I was sure the roof was about to fly off. It's been by far the worst night of my life. I'm afraid to go outside to check the damage, and that's the reality of it, and I'm sorry, and I hope the damage isn't too severe. Hi, Greg. Just something I noticed that the text message you receive your verification code from mygov.ie is from a 0044 telephone number. Do you know why this is? No. I think they outsource some of that stuff because a lot of the communications you might get as it relates to testing and other arms of the government comes from overseas numbers as well. Right, let's welcome onto the programme Councillor Michael Mclafferty. Can you hear me okay? Good morning to you.
Yes, Greg, good morning. How's things?
Good to have you with us. Right, now, you are saying that something needs to be done about the amount of roaming deers in the Creeslot Dunfanaghy area in towards the Falcara area. What are you seeing? What's happening and what's the impacts of it?
Yeah, Greg, we're having big problems at the minute down here, particularly now this last while, indeed over this last number of years as well. But where you have a lot of roaming deers crossing, running over and back the road as you're driving along, mostly at night time, sometimes daytime as well, but more so at night time. You're driving either direction, and as a result then, it's quite frequently happening then where cars are getting smashed. And we're in a situation, obviously, because the deers are wild, they're roaming, etc. There's nobody taking responsibility. There's difficulty then, possibly for some people when they go to claim insurance. Then some people can claim, some people can't for obvious reasons. For example, you may only have third party, you may not have comprehensive. So if you're third party and you smash your car, you're in an unfortunate situation then with the deer that you cannot claim for the car. You have nobody to claim off, nobody's taking responsibility. And it's from that point of view there, but I suppose living locally here, it has to be stated as well. Certainly the deer herd is certainly expanding, getting a lot bigger. So obviously when it's getting a lot bigger, there's going to be a possibility of more car crashes. And quite a number of people have crashed their cars here in recent times, both in recent times and going back a couple of years or so as well. And just we're at the situation now where something has to be done.
What is the solution to this? Is it I mean, do the numbers have to be reduced? Is it a case that we have to make it harder for them to be able to exit one side of the road, cross onto the road, and onto the other? I mean, what needs to be done? It can't simply just be a case of culling them, can it?
Well, there's 2 points to it. First of all, the exit on either side of the road, as you're leading to there, possibly fencing or whatever. Yes, that would be a help. But the problem is with that, who's going to deal with it? Who's going to put it up? You need a fence about maybe 8 foot high to keep these guys in. So, like, no landowner's going to do that because, again, we're back to the same thing again. They're a wild animal. There's no responsibility. It's been alluded to, all right, and it may be a thing that may have to happen going forward as potential culling them, at least back to an acceptable number anyway, to be fair, because there's 2 points to it here. There's also an animal welfare effort here, welfare issue here as well. Sometimes a deer can jump in front of you, Greg, in your car, or Jeep may hit it. That's not to say your car is badly smashed or your Jeep is badly smashed, possibly, and sometimes even beyond smashed, wrecked, actually. But the problem is then, some of these deer are that big, they may just get up again, run off. Obviously, they're badly injured, but they will not be killed outright. So there's that side as well. I've been told as well other times when this happens, if the deer is left injured alongside the road, obviously the donors then you need to get an expert in them to shoot the deer or euthanize, whatever the case may be. I think shooting, they actually do to be fair, to put the animal down on animal welfare. So that's the animal welfare end of it. But then you have the other side of it, then the car owner then getting their car smashed. Obviously, there's obviously the fear as well of something more serious happening through time as well if matters aren't dealt with. For example, if you had a stag, the big antlers, they could come on through your windscreen, the antlers could get you. There's all that type of thing.
Am I being a bit naive here, though? In that, I mean, we pretty much have taken up any bit of land for any wild animals at this stage, wolves and what have you. Even if we wanted to, you couldn't reintroduce wolves because so much of the land has been destroyed by us, the natural habitat has. Deers obviously are, the animals we're talking about, wild animals. There has to be another way for us to live beside them. Maybe I've woke up this morning feeling like in love with the earth or something. I don't know what's wrong with me, but there has to be another way, surely, other than just taking their numbers down.
Well, Greg, to be fair, I'm not saying not to live beside them. We all know, I appreciate the deers or any other wild animal come to us as everybody else, just through the countryside. They're there. They've probably been there for hundreds of thousands of years, generations from the market time. We all respect that. But at the same time, we need to get to a situation where we can all live comfortably beside each other. And at the minute, it's not comfortable, it's unacceptable, it's too dangerous. As I say, many cars have got smashed, many families have suffered because of the insurance policies and so on, that they weren't able to claim for their insurance. And they had to replace the car or fix it themselves through their own means. And this is unacceptable going forward. Okay, you're right. Everybody may not agree with culling. We're not suggesting cull the whole thing. We're just culling down to acceptable numbers that, if you like, where they are hotspots. I like Chrisley here, Dunfanny, and the Fulcara further on, possibly got to work with the forestries and that. I suppose, first of all, getting a count done, see as best we can, see how many are there, getting a census done on them, see what kind of numbers are there. That would come into hotspots end of it. Obviously, the parks and wildlife would need to come on board here and get involved. That's the kind of thing, like in a program, Greg, in a regulated way, would have to do it. We're not suggesting anything other than here doing a regulated way and doing it professionally.
No,
but
yeah,
first of all,
yeah. I get you. Stay where. I want to bring David Dunn in. He's a deer advisor with the Wild Deer Association of Ireland. Hi, David.
Hello, how are you? Good morning to you.
Good to have you with us. So what's happening here? Why are we seemingly seeing an increase in wild deer on our roads? And we've been hearing from Councillor Michael Mclafferty, who's concerned at the impact that has, literally and metaphorically, I suppose, on the local community, motorists and what have you.
Yeah, well, the story with wild deer at the moment is, if wild deer, what people don't realise, while we all admire deer and they are beautiful animals, what people don't realise, deer have no natural predators and they're not very susceptible. They don't suffer from any illnesses. So if deer numbers are left alone, they can double their numbers in 3 years. This will impact on a load of things. This will impact on agriculture. This will impact on forestry. And this will also impact on road safety, because with the increase in the population, and the population has increased over the last few years, even though at present there's 5,500 licenses issued by National Parks and Wildlife to people to cull and manage deer. And while this does impact on numbers, in some areas it's not enough. It's not enough. Now, I know
in terms of culling, okay, we've been in a situation whereby the population of deer has been allowed to grow to the noticeable level it is now because, for one reason or another, presumably COVID, the flocks, or whatever you might call them, herds, what are they? I don't know, you can tell me. The herds weren't being culled.
Yeah, but you see, there's also an increase in forestry and plantation, and that's given deer habitat and cover. Like, there's deer now where there was never deer. We often hear that there was never deer seen in this area, and all of a sudden they're on the land and they're seen, and people have never seen them there. Their range is expanding, and with their range being expanded and small pockets turning up where there's never been deer, people are seeing them more. And then there's been road traffic accidents reported in areas where they didn't even know there was deer present. So, and then, like, as road users and as drivers ourselves, like we have a responsibility too. That, like, a lot of it is, you know, like I can totally understand. Someone comes around the corner and deer jump out in front of them. There's nothing you can do. Nothing could do. But at the end of the day, they are wild. They are free roaming, not fenced in animals, and you have to be. What we are trying to do is make drivers aware of areas that there's a high presence of deer, to actually slow down and be more cautious. Like, there's nothing you can do if something comes out 5 meters ahead, straight out in front of you. But at the same time, there's a lot of it due to speeding, and there is signage, and signage has been increased in areas where road traffics have been. We were involved in a project just outside Abbey Leeds where we had signage put up, and since the signage put up, and drivers now are more aware that there is deer in the area.
Was it just that?
On the watch out.
Was it just that standard yellow sign? Because I think most people ignore those.
No, we have. Yeah, well, the yellow signs are there, but in some areas we're recommending high vis signs.
Yeah,
you know,
something that says that this is even seasonal. Something that sort of indicates that there is a. Those signs, you just see them and you drive past them.
What happens too? There's a lot of movement in deer, especially around the rutting period. That's when deer start to breed. And when deer start to breed, the younger animals and young stags are pushed out, but they're also on the search looking for females. So they'll be crossing and they're not as, how do you say, cautious at this time.
They've other things on their mind.
Yeah, they have other things on their mind, and they're determined to find, and they will cross areas and will cause hazards to road users.
Is controlling the population essential? In other words, is there a solution in terms of, you say that they're not fenced in?
They're not fenced in.
Or crossings, you know what I mean? Underground. Yeah. I'm sure there are countries in this world that come up with other imaginative ways that allows these creatures to live and exist and repopulate and all that kind of stuff, and humans to get on with their business as well. Yeah. It's a very blunt instrument, just going and shooting a load of them.
No, it's not. There is also fencing. Deer fencing is one, but it can be quite expensive. And who's going to bear the cost of deer fencing? You could, everywhere where there's traffic, you can't deer fence the whole motorway when there's a deer population in the area. It just wouldn't be economically viable. Now, in some areas where it's really dense and there is motorways, the authorities have deer fenced off certain stretches of motorway to prevent road traffic accidents with deer. But where there's the occasional deer crossing, which can be unfortunate for the driver involved in the RTA with the deer, like, it wouldn't be viable.
Of course, and you talked about viability. I mean, is it viable for those who shoot deer for money, for an income? The deer market, the price you might get for a dead and butchered deer has fallen quite significantly. Has that been a problem?
There was commercial shooters out there, and they did exist, and it also increased when deer meat had a high value. It also increased the illegal taking of these animals, and due to COVID and that market being literally obliterated, it went down from 280, 310 a kilo down to 80 cent and €1 a kilo, and for some people that would be viable.
So who is responsible for the controlling of? Who's responsible for controlling of the deer population? And is it a case that we're actually going to have to start paying people then to come in and cull?
Do you see what? Most land in Ireland is privately owned or state owned. A vast majority of land is privately owned. So the privately owned land usually has agents. There's very few farmers or landowners or private foresters that don't have someone on the ground managing deer. If deer are impacting on someone's income, it's only natural that they're going to look for a method of control. It's like anything. If a chicken farmer had a problem with foxes, he would get an agent in to deal with that issue, that problem.
Is there an overarching body responsible for this, for nationally, for the population of deer? Like, in other words, we've got Councillor Michael Mclafferty online, who I'm going to bring back into the conversation, of course. But who is he appealing to? You know, who makes the decision?
Wildlife life and issues with wildlife is controlled by National Parks and Wildlife. Now, what National Parks and Wildlife do address deer problems by the issuing of out-of-season permits. These permits are called Section 42s. The Section 42 allows someone who has a high density or an issue with deer, be it for a farming issue, whether dragging fences across, knocking walls, impacting on grasslands, or else what can be an issue too, if there's an outbreak of TB, to issued for scientific purposes, that's to check the population for a TB issue. But I'll also state on this matter that overall the national deer herd is in good shape. It's in good condition.
Right.
And there's low incidence of TB international deer herds.
All right, Charlie wants to come in on this conversation. Hi, Charlie. Good morning.
Greg, how are you?
Good stuff. What's your view on this?
No, I think Greg is a very simple one. You know, once upon a time it wasn't an issue. Now it's become quite a big issue. People are getting their cars damaged on a regular basis. You know, it's just not enough. It's not enough anymore for people to wash their hands of it. Like, I mean, there has to be some type of project put in place wherein the deer numbers can be reduced to an acceptable level. Just as your learned man there suggested, like without that being in place, we're looking at deer, as he said himself, doubling, you know, within a 3-year period, and you know that is not acceptable in relation to the danger they are now creating on our roads.
Charlie, have you experienced interaction with a deer on the road?
Where we live, Greg, there's a lot of deer, where we live.
You've not hit one or had a near miss or anything? 'Cause
No,
it's not
no,
even
I
hitting them.
haven't.
I just think sometimes in the middle of the night, you might hear of a one-vehicle road traffic collision, you know, and to all intents and purposes, it might look like the driver lost control because the deer's nowhere to be seen. So we don't really probably get a full... probably don't have a full knowledge of the extent of crashes caused by deer.
Well, we know in our area, Greg, you know, there's been a lot of instances with deer, and like it's a situation now. It's got to this stage now, and I'd like to congratulate Michael for coming on and opening up the debate. Debate's a great thing because out of it can come a lot of positivity for everybody, and I think it's, you know, we've got to the stage now that we need to develop a project that's going to be ongoing because really and truly, you said, Greg, I think, you know, is the kernel of the whole thing, wherein people are getting their cars damaged, but we're a very resilient people. We just go, we fix our cars, and we get on with life.
We do just get on with it, don't we? Individually, that's what we do, yeah. Listen, it's been lovely having you on the show, Charlie.
It's a massive issue, definitely,
Super.
Greg.
And I think you said the OPW needs to take control of this.
Well, like, I mean, that learned gentleman that was on there,
David Dunn, yeah.
Yeah, he seems to know his business very well. But all I'm saying to him is, specifically for us in Donegal, we need a project that is going to keep the deer at a manageable level.
Okay, well, Councillor Mclafferty is also a learned gentleman. Maybe he was referencing you, Michael, by the way, just in case you think I think otherwise. I'll come back to you, Michael. I want to ask you a question, though, David. This is when we talk about controlling a herd population. It's done in a targeted way, is it? Is it the breeders that you go after, or what way does it work?
The way it works, if you want to control numbers in high density areas, the ones you need to impact on are the females. The females is what you hit. Now there is what we call trophy hunters out there who only go after males and antlers. They do not have a positive impact on deer numbers. You need the guys on the ground to control the females. The females need to be controlled. If you're going to, and when we hear as an organisation that people are giving up on the females come December because they're pregnant, females are actually pregnant from November onwards. They are pregnant. And the time to cull females is actually when they're pregnant, not when they have dependents.
Understood.
So hunters need to realise, and people that are managing deer, especially on private properties, that the way of reducing deer numbers is to legally cull them during the season, which is from November till February.
Okay, stay with me if you don't mind, because I want to bring Angus Kennedy, a regular guest on this radio station from Nature Northwest. Angus, good morning to you. What's your view on all of this?
Hi, Greg. How are you? And it's great to hear you woke up with some love for the earth this morning. Fair play.
Well, I wake up most mornings, but it's just the notion of a cull. It got the better of me this morning. But go ahead, Angus.
Yeah, it does, and it can be a very emotive issue. But as Dave was saying there, there's no natural predators, and that's the thing. We wiped out the wolf a long time ago. And going to your point is, how do we live with these creatures? How do we live with nature? And we have impacted on so much of the land. We've changed the natural order of things by manipulating it so much for such a long time. I think that the national parks are the ones with responsibility for this, National Parks and Wildlife Service, but currently they're chronically underfunded, and they have been for a very long time. And there was a report published, well, it hadn't been published, but there was a report completed reviewing the whole of national parks and how they work just a little bit earlier this year, or only a few weeks ago, but the government are sitting on it, and for some reason they're not publishing it. Now, they're promising to publish it fairly soon, but I would ask the councillor that you have there and anybody else to pressure your politicians, pressure your TDs, and ask the government to publish this report for the National Parks and Wildlife Service, because they tragically need, or they chronically need, to be funded, resourced properly, and until they are, issues like this, they just can't deal with it.
Angus, you'd favour a cull then, even though it's not the deer's fault, this is all our fault?
Yeah, completely. Well, what I favour, not an out-and-out cull, what I favour is a scientific approach to it.
Like with,
So the appropriate government agency, which in this case is the National Parks, if they had the resources, they would then be able to go and monitor and survey, because we can all see the increase in numbers.
Did I read somewhere at some point that it was done in different places where I don't know what the terminology is, but they were sterilising deer?
There has been sterilising programs in other parts of the country, right, or other parts of Europe. I've never heard of that in Ireland.
But is that an alternative to this? You know,
I don't know how successful it is.
Right,
I think it's a very difficult thing for it to be successful.
I didn't read a lot about it, but I know I read that it was what some might say it wouldn't be terribly humane, depending on your gender or what have you, or what's happening to you. But it's unproven.
Yeah, I haven't heard of a successful program. It's not something you hear of rolled out. But the biggest thing they need to do is get a proper handle on it, because at the moment all of our experience of it is anecdotal. Whereas you need people out surveying it, and they can do proper surveys of the deer, and they're not the hardest thing in the world to survey, but you need the human power, you need the resources. And once they have that surveying in place, well, then they can start figuring out, do they actually need to do a cull? When do they need to go? Where they need to do the cull? What are the areas? Or are areas needed? Do we just need more fencing, better fencing? Do we need to help people? If we're helping them with planting native woodlands, for instance, do we need to help fund them with appropriate deer fencing as well? That kind of thing.
Yeah, interesting insight as always, Angus. Thank you very much indeed. I'll come back to Michael and David in a moment. Just want to quickly bring Ben in on this. Morning, Ben. What's your view?
Good morning. Good morning, Greg.
Yes, Ben. Tell us what you think. What do you think of this topic?
Well, the only thing I think about this topic is I worked there for 26 years. And during that time as well, me and 3 other guys were involved in upkeep of the deer fence in Glenveigh National Park. And that's why I leave the responsibility with Douglas, the Wildlife Service, and Glenveigh National Park, because after I left there in 2002, I believe there's no upkeep at all being done to that fence. And I've been out there, and you can actually walk through that fence anywhere at all. It doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And any hill walker out there will tell you the same thing. One time there used to be stiles for people that you could cross the fence, maybe down the Poison Glen or somewhere like that there. But now you can walk through the fence anywhere at all. Now, that fence used to be 10 feet high at some places as well, and all. And whenever deer got out sometimes as well, we built what you'd call as well, like deer leaps as well, where they could actually, we built it up on the outside that they could actually come in again during breeding season. If they needed to come in again, which they would do during breeding season.
Oh, that's a huge level of management. What kind of fencing? It sounds like, given the area we're talking, a massive undertaking to have it in the first place, but maintain it, Ben.
Yes, it was a massive undertaking the first time it happened in the late 1800s or whatever it was as well, and all, because Mrs. Adair, she introduced the deer on there.
Yeah.
But it's all metal posts, right? And 4x4 metal posts and stuff like that there. And you're talking about 8 strands of wire, 10 strands of wire in some places, because you needed it to be higher, because if it was too, if it wasn't high enough on the inside, you had to use extra strands to keep the deer from jumping the fence. That was it. So to keep them from escaping. But the same thing has happened here in Glenveigh as they did as well with the mink here in Donegal as well. They just let them loose whenever they couldn't look after them.
Or they escaped. We can't say, you don't want to, we have to be careful what we say here. They could have escaped. But we'll get it in contact and find out the alternative view. Ben, just finally, fencing in itself, though, would you accept that there has to be a level of culling as well as fencing?
Yeah, well, you see, that was part of my job as well, to know culling the deer. And what you actually did is you stopped unbreeding them, the animals. You always kept a good herd there, you know. So you go out and you'd spend a day spying all these animals, and then you pick the animals, and you're going to take it out then, you know.
Okay, listen, Ben, very interesting. Finally, from you, David Dunn, Deer Advisor with the Wild Deer Association of Ireland. I mean, there is a lot of planning, organisation and thought that has to go into this.
Yeah, there is. And, there is a lot of work going on in the background. And we are involved, and we have been speaking to all parties involved in this. And there will be a census going on. But we realise as an organisation that in some areas the population has got quite high. And as I said earlier in the programme, most of the land in Ireland is privately owned.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to work with landowners and private foresters, forestry companies. Quilsha have a big say in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
They have a big say because they're the state-owned forestry group.
Right.
Quilsha lease out the sporting rights for deer management to other parties.
Yes.
And this also will impact on the population.
Okay.
It's just getting the relative bodies working together. And, as an earlier speaker said, they are quite resilient and resourceful as a nation. This issue will be dealt with over time with the proper people coming together and tackling it. But as I can say to drivers out there, if you are aware of deer in your area, slow down.
Okay, David, listen, thank you very much indeed. That's David Dunn there, the phone line failing us on a little bit. Councillor Mclafferty, thank you very much for holding as well and listen to all of that. I mean, just one caller wants to ask, are we sensationalising the situation here? You know, maybe more people are hitting badgers than deer, and if you hit a badger, you know, it can be really quite devastating on your vehicle. But we're not talking about a badger cull. Like, are a lot of people hitting deer, or is it possible that maybe we're overstating the extent of the problem?
No, Greg, I don't believe we're overstating anything, to be honest with you. All we're doing is highlighting appropriately what is going on. Probably, if anything, it's probably, it's gone beyond serious, possibly at this stage. In regards to just jumping back to the badger, to the best of my understanding, the badgers are controlled for TV purposes.
Okay.
I understand that there are actively badger people in the county and the country at the minute. So
they're badgering badgers.
Yes.
Okay,
but
so there's a lot of food for thought there. So how do you want to progress this now? You heard calls from Angus for you to start putting the pressure on for the government to publish this report that might be very useful in this conversation. Is it the OPD you focus on? Are you hoping that the council may take a lead role on this? Where do you want this to progress from here, Councillor?
Well, first of all, Greg, and a couple of points. We really appreciate the time this morning getting this highlighted, because I felt we needed to get it on a public platform. So thank you and Carolyn there for organising that, for letting us do that, and thanks to the speakers as well, that all the speakers participated there. Because really, first and all, we needed to get the public know exactly what's going on here. I know there are a great number of the public aware, but the whole public's not aware. So that's what we need to do, first of all, getting them aware. Secondly, then, obviously, as you alluded to there, the OPW, the National Parks and Wildlife, the government, possibly the council may come into play here at some stage as well, possibly here to try and get things opened up. But whatever it takes at the minute, Greg, to get things opened up, to get things to a resolution. And also one thing as well here, I just want to mention as well on a serious point as well in regards to cars getting smashed. It would be a big help as well if somebody does end up unfortunate getting their car smashed. Obviously, we know we're resilient here. We get the car smashed, we get a tow truck, we tow it away, we fix it, or get insurance, whatever the case may be, or possibly.
But we need to know the extent of the problem. There has to be some sort of.
We need to know the extent of the problem.
So
it's helpful if you are unfortunate going forward to at least report to your local guard station, so there's a record of it there that you smashed your car, such in an area, Chrysler, Dunfanny, got a Hark, whatever the case may be.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. So we can get some statistical grasp of what's going on. Listen, thank you very much for your time this morning. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, Greg.
All right,
appreciate
take care. Right, that's Councillor Michael Mclafferty there. We're going to be talking about the weather after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Oh, Amy, my little one. I ask myself a million questions every day. When will you give me your first smile? How much sleep do you need? How can I help you and your big brother to get along?
At the HSE's mychild.ie and in the free My Child books, you'll find the answers you need from doctors, midwives, public health nurses, dietitians and lots of other experts. mychild.ie. Expert advice for every step of pregnancy, baby and toddler health. From the HSE.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. New O'Neill's Donegal range in-store and online. Home jersey available in many options for men, women and juniors. New Donegal goalkeeper jersey out now. Donegal O'Neill's Harlem range with new jackets, hats and snoods to help you show your colours. Look the part, play the part. In-store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
For confirmation and First Communion, see the great selection of suits, casual wear and footwear at Watson Menswear, Letterkenny. Top brands, including 1880 Club, Lyle & Scott, Farah and Diesel. Also, Tommy Bow footwear and all at great prices. Whatever the fit, whatever the style, confirmation and First Communions are covered. For less, at Watson Menswear. Open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny and at watsonmenswear.com. Also, great end of sale bargains still available.
Experience the ultimate luxury holiday when you sail with Celebrity Cruises. When you book your Celebrity Cruise with Atlantic Travel in Letterkenny, not only are drinks, Wi-Fi and tips always included, but for a limited time you'll make huge savings per room and enjoy free flights to Europe. Offer ends the 28th of February. Call Atlantic Travel on 91 26193.
Here comes the aeroplane. And there go the peas.
You'll find expert advice on weaning at mychild.ie from the HSE.
Okay, Alan O'Reilly, founder of Carlow Weather. A busy night last night. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Not sure how much sleep you got, but I didn't get much sleep with the wind battering the side of the house. Myself, good morning to you, Alan.
Good morning, Greg. Yeah, it was certainly a noisy night. It was even down here in Carlow, it was a very noisy night, and I was trying to keep an eye on the stats. Yeah, the sleep hasn't been great over the last few nights, I'll admit. All right, I've been busy tracking these storms, and I think Franklin kind of maybe didn't get the attention that it needed, to be honest with you. Malin Head saw a gust of 133 kilometres an hour between 1 and 2 a.m. this morning, and Finner Camp also saw a gust of 124 kilometres an hour with some very strong winds really right through the night, and that was after all of yesterday as well.
Now, in terms of, and we'll talk a bit more about that and weather warnings in a moment, if that's okay, Alan, but you know, we had two storms that passed through last week, and from what we're used to, you know, not an awful lot. I mean, obviously, if you live in a micro-affected home or whatever, I understand that it would have been very impactful. But I think for the sort of general population, it's weather we're not unused to. What was different about Franklin? Was it the strength? Was it the length? Was it how quick it moved? Was it the wind direction? What made it so impactful?
Yeah, I think the duration and the strength of that duration, I think, was the biggest thing. I mean, it was just relentless really yesterday. And I think people thought, because Eunice had kind of passed through quite quickly, and obviously in your neck of the woods, Eunice didn't really have a major impact. I think people thought, you know, this is going to end. And I was trying to tell people, no, it's only ramping up, because really yesterday afternoon, people were expecting it maybe to die off. And I was trying to explain to people that last night was actually going to see the peak in the northwest of the winds. And that's exactly what happened. And then also you had those very high seas. I mean, the M4 buoy out to the northwest there recorded a max wave height of 28 meters. That's a 92-foot wave, you know, so you had that coastal, I suppose, very high storm surge as well. So the combination, I think, of the duration and also the severity of it, and also I think just maybe weather fatigue or weather warning fatigue, as I was calling it. People had Dudley and then they had Eunice, and I think maybe people thought that was it. And I'm not sure, maybe because it was over the weekend, maybe people were more, you know, relaxing and not quite keeping up to date. I was tweeting as much as I could, trying to tell people this is actually happening. This is kind of
and in fairness to you too, you did message myself, and I was able to sort of I had access to my own social media overnight to get that out and share it, that, you know, this is a long one and it's going to peak in the small hours of the morning, and it was widely shared, and I think people appreciated that. But I do get what you're saying. You know, I saw that I did get a weather forecast from Met Éireann via email, as they do. It is localised, and it did kind of warn of what was to come. But I think the media needs to be a bit more consistent in its reporting of it. Do you know what I mean? I think Matern did send out the info. I don't think they drove it home as much as you did, Alan, because you probably saw that no one was really talking about it like they should. But I think the media, there has to be a level of consistency. Don't sensationalise the light stuff, but make sure that you have the resources there to let people know when it's going to hit hard.
Yeah, and I think also the fact that, very often the media will report, the red warnings and look at the biggest impact. And that can also, vary a lot across the country. So I think a lot of the time people don't really look at the warnings for their own area, because I certainly had a lot of people message me saying, how do we not have warnings? And I'm like, well, there actually is an orange warning in your area. And okay, the wind speeds did go in excess of the orange on the coast, but generally, the orange criteria was met. But the combination of the wind and the rain yesterday, and then also, you had some sleet and snow showers even at times in some areas, and the fact that it went on for so long, the weather warnings don't really take into account the duration. It doesn't really make a difference whether it's orange for 3 hours or orange for 12 hours. It's an orange warning, whereas people need to understand the difference.
Do you think that and when I say we, it is Met Éireann, because they're charged with coming up with these decisions. Do you think that they need to factor in more stuff in terms of high tides, swell, and say, right, okay, it just peaked for a moment in the red warning category, so we won't put out a red warning. But do you think they need to look at it in a bit more nuanced way?
Yeah, the UK Met Office use a weather impact-based system. So rather than just using criteria of gusts of over 130 kilometres an hour or 50 millimetres of rain, they look at the impact and the combination of the weather and also even the timing. So if you're going to have, if you have a wind peaking at rush hour in the morning and you have rain with it, well, that may end up being a red criteria, whereas each of those factors on their own maybe be orange or yellow. So I do think the impact-based system is a better system, to be honest with you. I think Met Éireann do very well with the system they have, but I do think the weather system could be improved.
Yeah, and then we got a load of messages on Friday saying, why are schools closed? The weather's grand, there's nothing going on. So it's hard to get it right. I just think maybe if they targeted things more locally and if the media did there, but I think it might work better. Alan, finally, the front of the papers say we've had the wind now comes the chill. What are you seeing? I was going to say your crystal ball, but your technology's beyond the crystal ball. What are you seeing for the week ahead, Alan?
Yeah, a lot more wind, and especially in the northwest there, you're going to see some more strong winds really right through the week, but turning very cold from Wednesday night. So Thursday, you probably see some sleet and snow for a time in Donegal on Thursday, and some very strong winds again. So bitterly cold wind chill. That wind is going to be very annoying. It's going to consist really right through the week.
And I've had more messages than I was expecting from some people claiming that these weather systems are man-made, chemtrails. Oh. Now you've access to the science. Can you confirm or deny that's the case?
Oh, I can deny that.
Okay. Take care of yourself.
Thanks.
Thank you very much indeed. I really appreciate it. And thanks also, Alan, for contacting us there towards Sunday evening to try and get a warning out there as best I could. That things were going to get worse before they got better. We have loads of your messages coming in. It's great to see it so busy on a Monday morning. We really appreciate it. If you want to watch the programme, by the way, you can hop on to our website, highlandradio.com. You'll see the link there and you can watch the programme in browser. You might be particularly interested after 11 o'clock when we've got Brendan Devaney in studio and we have our guests, as we discussed, the Dungloe Band's 50th anniversary joining us as well. You might want to watch and engage that way. Or you can go onto our YouTube page, Highland Radio Ireland, or Facebook pages. Okay. And we're here for all of you, the majority of you on air. It's great to have you with us. Back after the news.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Mortgages now available with a personalised service from your local and friendly credit union. Email mortgage@letterkennycu.ie.
Should have gone to Specsavers. That's what the ads tell you. But for some people in India, it's not that simple. Imagine having no eye tests or glasses. You couldn't work, so you could lose your home. I'm Lisa from Specsavers, and I'm proud to help the Hope Foundation provide eye care in Kolkata. Specsavers arranged for me and my colleagues to go there and do eye tests. To date, we've given out over 11,000 pairs of glasses. Find out how we're changing people's lives for the better at specsavers.ie.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor offers the most advanced skincare treatments for men and women, treating conditions such as acne, skin tags, rosacea and scarring. As a qualified aesthetics practitioner, Mary Ferry offers a range of anti-aging treatments including dermal fillers, thread lifts, Profilo, skin boosters, microneedling and LED light therapy. Hair and makeup also available. Download the Genesis Salon app today or call 07495 32575.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Attention farmers. Donegal County Council would like to remind farmers to follow good agricultural practice for the land spreading of slurry from the 1st of February. Farmers and contractors should pay attention to the weather forecast and not apply slurry or digestate to land which is waterlogged, flooded, likely to flood, or if rain is forecast within 48 hours. Avoid spreading within 5 metres of any drain or 25 metres from a well, spring or borehole used for drinking water, and check with the council for lands close to public water supplies. Clean water is everybody's business. Donegal County Council, protecting the environment.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday this summer with the family? Fly to Alicante, Malaga, Faro, Mallorca and Milan with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport, you're flying.
Okay, a quick look at the weather. Very windy this morning with strong to gale force northwesterly winds and severe or damaging gusts, but they will quickly ease through the morning. Scattered showers will gradually die out and there'll be a good deal of dry and bright weather in the morning and early afternoon. Temperatures 7 to 10 degrees, as I say. Back after the news.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. It's 10 o'clock. I'm Catherine Gaffney. Sinn Féin's health spokesperson is expressing concern about the impact the lack of reform in the health system is having on people. The Business Post has leaked recordings of the Department of Health's meeting with the HSE, claiming its recruitment crisis could affect the opening of new hospitals. The newspaper also reveals questions were raised about the need for a supplementary budget of over €500 million in 2020. The Department of Health says no official of the department has given consent to be recorded while carrying out their duties, and it hasn't received these alleged recordings. Sinn Féin's health spokesperson David Cullinan says senior well-paid officials in the department need to deliver for the health service.
We need to keep the focus clearly on where it needs to be. The Minister for Health is responsible for driving reform, and obviously we have very, very senior people both in the department and the HSE who are on huge salaries to deliver change, and that's what needs to happen. We need to see the plan that the Minister and these senior officials have to reduce wait times, to reduce the levels of overcrowding in our hospitals.
ESB crews are working to restore power to thousands of homes and businesses following Storm Franklin. Milford, Rosgear and Convoy are among the worst affected areas. A full list of updates and closures is available on our website highlandradio.com. Ryan Tapley from the ESB says they hope to have power restored to all areas tonight at the latest.
We would expect we're working to have everyone back by this evening or by tonight. But our safety message again applies for Storm Franklin. If anyone's out this morning and they come across fallen network, fallen trees, that they report it to our emergency number 1800 372 999.
Serious concern has been raised over a reported large increase in the number of deer in Donegal and the potential dangers that they pose. There are claims that several motorists have had their cars damaged as a result of deer jumping out onto the roads. It has led to calls for immediate action and the idea of a cull to be explored. Speaking on today's 9 till noon show, Councillor Michael Mclafferty says those who have already been impacted have had to fit the bill for repair works themselves.
There's no responsibility. It's been alluded to, all right, and this is maybe a thing that may have to happen going forward is potential culling them, at least back to an acceptable number anyway. And at the minute, it's not comfortable, it's unacceptable, it's too dangerous. As I say, many cars have got smashed, many families have suffered because of the insurance policies and so on, that they weren't able to claim for their insurance, and they had to replace the car or fix it themselves through their own means.
The Foreign Affairs Minister says the EU must focus on preventing war in Ukraine, not preparing for its response. Simon Coveney is in Brussels today to discuss moves that could de-escalate tension in Eastern Europe. The US government has advised its citizens in Moscow to have an evacuation plan as it warns Russia is preparing for a full-scale assault. Minister Coveney explains the EU's aims.
I think the main focus needs to be on preventing war rather than how we respond to it. And the approach of the European Union has been in two areas. One, intensive diplomacy, and two, ensuring that there's a very strong deterrent to the invasion of Ukraine. And I think that is still the strategy.
And the Minister for the OPW has agreed to meet with Donegal County councillors to discuss a number of planned flood relief projects in Donegal. It's after the OPW was heavily criticised in recent weeks by a number of councillors over refusing to attend meetings. Local representatives had been concerned that important projects are effectively shelved until there is proper engagement with the OPW. Minister Patrick O'Donovan was in Donegal last week on other matters but promised he would meet with councillors in due course. Cahirla of the Letterkenny MD, Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh, says it's vital that that happens.
He said to us that he wanted to talk to the Chief Executive first and go through those things, and that he would come back as soon as he possibly can to meet with the Letterkenny Municipal District and to discuss those, flood mitigation issues and so on. So he was very open about that, and no doubt they'll do that, and accept his point that he wanted to get a briefing on the issues first from the Chief Executive.
Weather now. Scattered showers will gradually die out and there will be a good deal of dry and bright weather in the morning and early afternoon with temperatures of 7 to 10 degrees. We're back with the headlines for you at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
The Obituary notices for this Monday morning, the 21st of February. The death has taken place of Annie Gallagher, Curran Terman. Annie's remains will repose at her late residence from 3 o'clock this afternoon. Funeral arrangements will be confirmed later. The death has taken place of Samuel Gibson, Figart Rafo. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow at 1:30 for 2 o'clock service in St. Elan's Cathedral, Rafo, followed by burial in the family plot in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Terence McClintock, Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Mary T. McLaughlin, Malin Road, Carndonagh, formerly of Drumnaskey, Malin Head. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:15 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in the Church of the Sacred Heart, Carndonagh. Burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Mary Shields, née Scott, Ballyhoriskey, Fanad. Wake for family and close friends in the family home from 11 o'clock this morning. Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Fanavolti, tomorrow afternoon at 12, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed live on the St Mary's Fanavolti Facebook page. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Fanad Day Centre, care of any family member or Eamon Scott, Funeral Director. And the death has taken place of Teddy Doherty, Strand Road, Derry Beg, Gweedore. His remains are reposing at his home. Funeral Mass in St Mary's Chapel, Derry Beg at 1 o'clock this afternoon, with burial afterwards in Maharagallen Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director's Facebook page. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, It's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And you're very welcome back to the 9 till Noon Show. Good morning, Greg. Many years ago, there was a deer enclosure in Quilch's Ards Forest Park, and over the years, the fences broke down and the deer escaped into the forest and surrounding woods and areas and breeding every season. That comes in from Charlie. Thanks, Charlie. Good to have you listening. Greg asking, what about the storm that hit on Saturday night before 9 p.m. was still blowing yesterday morning at 11 a.m. It was also a rough night. And a start to the day yesterday. Well, that was the leading edge of Storm Franklin. Say a big thank you to the ESB crews who got powered restored in North Inishowen last night in very difficult conditions. Yeah, indeed, I was seeing some of the restoration times now. Maybe some of that can be done remotely. A lot of it has to be done by teams on the ground. It was remarkable to see on the power check site them fixing these issues when the wind was still gusting at 120 kilometres per hour. Back to deers here. Since lamping was stopped, deer numbers have exploded. Okay. What's the damage across the county? Worst storm in years last night and little warning. The warnings were there, but they weren't broadcast as much. I mean, we did our bit and tried to use the social media last night to let people not know what was coming. But in fairness, and I'm sitting here defending Materan, because I have to be fair, and I've seen their forecasts and I've seen the warnings were there. They just weren't related. Maybe it was because it was the weekend. Maybe, as Alan pointed to, it was our third storm and people were a bit sick and tired talking about the weather. I don't know. Hi, Greg. John Sweeney, climatologist in Maynooth, has said the first storm had sped up when bumped by the jet stream, and maybe same with the other. That comes in from Kevin. Good morning, Greg. Storm Franklin should have been a red warning for Donegal. It was much more severe and dangerous than other storms, yes. But on the criteria that Met-Éireann use, it didn't hit the red warning criteria. That's the thing. But if we looked at it, if they sort of said, right, tides coming in at this time, rain, hail, sleet, direction of wind, then it probably should have been a red warning. But their warning system, if you look at it, it's quite, specific. Morning, re-weather warning level, should it not have to take into account previous storms, trees, buildings, etc. would have been weakened? That comes in from Paul. Many thanks, Paul, and many thanks to you. Yeah, definitely, that's what we're talking about here. Back to deer. All venison exported to France, a multi-million euro business. Ask the Councillor how many cars have been hit. This is sensationalism. Well, if the deer was worth that much, there are 5,000 odd licensed deer hunters, would they be called, that are involved in the culling programme. They haven't been at it because the price of deer has gone through the floor. So I'm not sure it's as related to the finances you suggest there. I often be down in the southwest of County Fermanagh. I regularly come across deer out in the middle of the Latone Road, which is the main road between Garrison and Belcoo. While dangerous. That comes in from Sen in St. Johnson. Sen, thanks for listening. Thanks for getting involved. This caller says, I have a serious issue with mink. I live in the Rathmullen Road. Who can help me? Tell us more about it. What is the issue with mink? How is it presenting? Do you keep animals and they're worrying the animals? Please get back in touch with us and tell us the issues you're having with the mink in the Rathmullen Road area, and maybe we can get some more detailed answers for you. Hi, Greg. There are even deer up behind Highland Radio. Never seen them there before. I come across a deer actually at Clar. Now, there are deer warning signs, but I'd never seen one, and I did see a deer there. I think it was last year. It was big. A caller would love to see all deer culled. Okay. It's funny, there seems to be an acceptance of deer culling, or that people think it's okay. But strangely, right, I would say there's a lot of people listening here involved, say, for instance, in the fishing industry, or people who fish for sport, who would be of the view that the seal population is decimating or having a serious impact on fish stocks. But you mentioned culling seal, and all of a sudden people go crazy about it. They don't like it. Now, maybe moods have changed, but I know we've covered deer culling in the past here, and there is strong resistance to it. Is it because it is their natural habitat and they are, they're in their sea? I don't know. But it seems to be okay for a lot of people for us to cull deer, but people don't other people don't seem to. This is huge generalisations, but you understand hopefully the point I'm trying to make. As soon as you talk about culling seals, which an awful lot of people would like to see that done, there seems to be a different reaction. Have you a view on that, by the way? 08660 25,000 WhatsApps or texts, because as I say, a lot of rivers, there's just simply no fish in them anymore because the seals sit at the estuary and take their pick and then go and lie in the rocks rubbing their bellies, and others that would say it also impacting on other areas of fishing. But it seems more of a taboo subject than deer culling, or maybe I'm reading the situation wrong. Who is responsible if one of the deer damages your car? Caller's wife was driving a car. It was damaged by a deer. Insurance wouldn't cover it, and it cost €3,000 to fix. Who is responsible? I don't know. This caller thinks culling is a great idea. The sooner the better. Deers are a torture on the road at night, Glenveigh. Not taking responsibility if deer hit your car, but don't want people shooting them. All right. Okay, listen, thanks very much for that. Radio, let's talk about the bingo now, because it is another week of bingo, another fresh week. If you haven't played before or haven't got your book, go and get it now. You're in time. Go and get your book. It's €5 to play. It's €1 per day. But obviously, as a bit of crack, as a bit of sport, play well within your means and for fun, because that's what it's all about. But it's not just for fun. The fun is for you. The real impact of bingo is the fact that it really helps the National Council for the Blind of Ireland. They benefit greatly from you playing your bingo. And the jackpot on Thursday is €9,000, so you could be in with a chance to win that. Daily prize winning books are purchased all over the county, by the way. Here are some examples. This isn't the jackpot now. These are the daily prizes. They accumulate too, but they start off at €400, which is not to be sniffed at in the first instance. But a lucky bingo book buyer got their book in Old Dailies in Lifford. They won £1,000, if you don't mind. Clinton's in Tammany sold an €800 winning book there. Mason, Stranola, Max Books, Buncrana and Burnfoot Service Station all sold books that the purchaser won €400 on. The daily price is €400. It increases by €200 per day, if not one. So it is constantly increasing. So I'm just reminding you, if you want to get involved, I don't play it myself. I don't benefit from it. So my interest is the fact that the National Council for the Blind of Ireland do, and I've interviewed them and I know the impact it has on them. Okie dokie, back with more after the bingo numbers and a break. Stay where you are. Lots of interesting conversation for you on the way.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday, the 21st of February. You're playing on the green sheet. The reference number is S16. It's game number 8. The numbers are 4, 61, 71, 82, 28, 41, 89, 74, 20, and finally 1. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
With the onset of different variants of coronavirus, it is vital that your business, office or school has the most up-to-date air purification device. McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles introduce the Daikin Air Purifier. It eliminates 99.9% of coronaviruses in under 3 minutes. Ideal for residential settings, offices, classrooms and waiting rooms. Priced at €495, it's a great investment. For more details, contact McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles Buncrana. We're only a phone call or email away.
If you've got magic moments or great memories captured on your smartphone, now is a great time to have them printed at mcgees.ie. Simply upload your favourite photos, choose your size and finish, and McGee's will take care of the rest, with the results delivered to your door. Prices are from just 12 cents, and there's also creative options available. Preserve your memories today at mcgees.ie.
June 2022, August 2022, January 2023. Is that what you're hearing when inquiring about the delivery of a new vehicle? Guess what? That's not the case at iMotors. Call in today and choose your new car with immediate delivery available across our full range of Nissan and Kia models. Drive away in your new 2022 car. Call iMotors in Letterkenny and Malin on 07491 34567.
Make more with fish with your local Dunstores fishmonger. Try our organic mussels for only €3.49 per kilogram. Or save €5 per kilogram on our freshly filleted hake and our wild Atlantic prawns, delicious in a curry or pasta. Plus, with our €10.50 grocery voucher, you save even more. Dunstores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next grocery shop of €50 or more.
This week on the DL Debate, as our county footballers resume their Division 1 campaign away to Kerry, we'll get a full roundup of all the action with Donegal News dynamo Ryan Ferry. And as our ladies footballers travel to Gone Westmeath, we'll speak with county star Katie Hearn on the game and on her work with All-Ireland club champions Kilcoo. Plus, Irish News GA correspondent Brendan Crossan will be on the line to round up all the weekend's GA action. All this and much more podcasted on highlandradio.com and just after 7pm news on Highland Radio.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9pm daily in Sarah's Kitchen.
You're very welcome back to the programme. I'm delighted to welcome onto it now Professor Sam Coulter-Smith, who's the author of a book called Delivering the Future, Reflections of a Rotunda Master. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor. It's great to have you on board.
Nice to talk to you.
Right, so talk to me, in terms of your book, and we'll talk about some of its key findings and conversations it might trigger. Does it give us a better understanding as to how the HSE actually works, how the hospital system works?
I suppose what it does is it's a reflection, it's a look back to see what we can learn from the experience of the last number of years. And the health service in Ireland, the oversight of the health service went through a massive transition over that period of time. We went from health boards to the HSE. Now we're in the midst of hospital groups, and now we're talking about regionalisation of health services as we go towards the stauncher care direction. So there's been lots and lots of different steps along the road, and none of them have worked particularly well. And as this has happened, we've gone through a boom, we've gone through a recession, and then we went through a pandemic and a cyber attack. So there are all sorts of things that have happened over the last 10 or 15 years. And I suppose my book is a reflection on what's happened, what we can learn from it, and maybe what we can bring to the future from the past while trying to make things better.
When we talk about issues with the health service currently, we'll often get comments in from listeners saying, we need to go back to the matrons on the ward, the old health board, like the Northwestern Health Board, etc. Do we look back with rose-tinted glasses, I wonder, or perhaps do those people have a strong case?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because times change and technology changes and medicine changes. There's no doubt that if you roll the clock back 30 or 40 years, then we had a situation where the population was smaller. We had a lot more hospitals, with a lot more health institutions, and we probably had a lot more beds per head of population than we currently do. So there's something to be said for keeping things small and keeping things tight and having governance structures over institutions that are local, so that everybody, that the management of an institution or a hospital knows that they're the best people to make decisions. They can make decisions, and if they have a budget that they can control, then they can work within that. The bigger you get, and this is one of the problems with the HSE, it's a beast of an organisation, and once you get that big, then it becomes more about controlling your budget than providing health service, and I think that's one of the problems that we've come up against.
Yeah, and that's been highlighted quite a lot in recent times. You talk quite a bit about voluntary hospitals. Could you explain to us the role of voluntary hospitals in the health service, where it used to be, where it's at now, what the future may hold, and how you think any changes is impacting on our health service?
That's a huge, huge question.
Just read me the book.
I suppose to understand that, you've got to try and look back to see what voluntary hospitals were and what they are and why they're important. And I think voluntary hospitals, not many people understand what a voluntary hospital is. It's an institution that was set up by a group of well-meaning individuals, or sometimes by organisations, to provide services when the state either couldn't or wouldn't or wasn't in a position to do so. Now, in the Northwest, there wouldn't be that many voluntary institutions. They would be more associated with Dublin. There were several in Cork and in Limerick, but they're not universally around the country. But they were set up to provide services. They had agreements with initially the Department of Health to provide funding, but not full funding. They would raise 20 to 30% of the funds needed to run them themselves. And that is the key, because voluntary hospitals have that independent funding. They have ownership, they have responsibility and oversight over their own finances to allow them to adapt, to change, to bring in new services, to do things without necessarily having to go to the health board or the group or the Department of Health or the HSE in order to make a decision. And the value voluntary hospitals brought to the country when it came to the COVID pandemic was massive, because they were able to adapt. They were able to make quick decisions without necessarily having to go to the HSE to say, can we do this?
And do voluntary hospitals tend to have, are they more inclined to attract staff, retain staff? Is it a different working environment to other types of hospitals?
Voluntary hospitals, they tend to be the bigger hospitals in the country. They tend to be the centres where all the subspecialists are based. They tend to be in academic centres, so they tend to be in bigger hospitals, and they're probably more attractive for graduates who are abroad to come back to. Most medical graduates go abroad for some period of time and then come back, and they want to come back and practice their subspecialty within a hospital that they know they can make a difference. And by and large, although not exclusively, because there's some fantastic people working in the HSE hospitals around the country, but I would have thought it's more likely that a highly qualified graduate is going to want to come and work in a voluntary hospital rather than a HSE hospital, because they know they can make a difference and they can provide the services that they want to and adapt and deal with management locally.
A lot of people feel the hospital or the HSE is, a relatively, to the overall staff, a relatively small group of frontline staff that are excellent and would move heaven and earth for you, backed up by an awful lot of, and I know a lot of people don't like this phrase, but clipboard holding, management, very little accountability. Sometimes people simply don't even know if they were to take 6 months break from work, how would they even define their role to find adequate cover? We've all heard stories like that there. The HSE gets an awful lot of money, but sometimes it feels like we're going backwards in terms of caring and making people better than going forwards. I mean, I know, again, it's a bit of a scatterball type of a question, but do you give us an insight into the HSE in that context?
I think there's no doubt that the HSE is a massive organisation, and there are multiple layers of bureaucracy within it, which makes decision making slow and arduous. And as I said, the further away your governance structure gets from the clinical coalface, the more likely it is for its key performance indicators to be financial rather than clinical. And that's one of the advantages of a voluntary hospital setup, where the hospital is run and managed and owned by the board, and the board of the hospital are responsible for the outcomes on a day-to-day basis, but also for the financial management of the hospital. So there is a perception, I think, and some reality to the fact that there are multiple layers of bureaucracy within the HSE, and there's an awful lot of people employed within it who are not at the clinical coalface. That's absolute fact. Yes.
Okay, Professor. I just want now maybe you to tell us about your book and because I've sort of asked questions and I don't want to misrepresent your work either at the same time. So can you tell us about the book, what you feel you want to get across to the reader who might find it interesting, and what kind of information, useful information, is contained within for them?
Yeah, it's a celebration of the Rotunda, and my time at the Rotunda, and looking back over the last 20 or 30 years to see what we can learn from that time. And I've talked about all of the changes that have happened in the external environment and how we have to deal with those. But it is a reflection. It's a look back. It's my own view on various different events that have happened. And as you know and well aware, maternity services have been in the headlines on a regular basis over the last number of years. And it's a reflection of all of those issues, everything from organ retention to cervical check to the current issues around the pandemic and the cyber attack. And it's an attempt, I suppose, to plot a pathway forward as to how as hospitals we can work together with the health service and become trusted partners within the health service, so that we can all strive together to...
Can that be delivered through Sláinte Care? Because that seems to be the only show in town pretty much cross-party support forward. Can your, not vision, or maybe it is your vision, but can what you hope that could be achieved, can that be achieved through Sláinte Care?
Well, that's one of the things that I address in the book. It's the, what is Sláinte Care and how can it work? And I'm fully supportive of the majority of what's in Sláinte Care, but there is one big issue there, and that is the voluntary hospitals and how they interact with the health service. And that's a big issue which really has yet to be worked out. And that's one of my problems, I suppose, that over the last 20 or 30 years, as all these changes have happened, that the relationship of the voluntary hospitals with the state has never really been worked out, because I honestly believe that people didn't truly understand it. Mm-hmm. And I hope the book will help to explain the role of voluntaries within the health service, and that's really what it's about.
All right, and some of this conversation has gone some way to do that too. I presume your book, Delivering the Future Reflections of a Rotunda Master, is available in all the usual places, Professor?
All good bookshops near you, absolutely.
And they're all good. Thank you so very much. Have a wonderful day. That's Professor Sam Coulter-Smith. As I mentioned, his book is called Delivering the Future Reflections of a Rotunda Master. Right, okay, back to deer. There needs to be a national deer management programme. The state is abdicating its responsibility to these animals. Ring the minister. The problem in that area is the fences are not maintained, and hence the breeding is continuing. The lack of good fencing allows them to access too many areas. Ben, who was involved in fixing fencing, perhaps helping to make your point there as well. And Greg, can you please mention that there is a free webinar on this evening at 6 p.m. with international experts on family law and retired Judge Philip Marcus, who'll be talking about how to prevent parental alienation in Ireland. If anyone is interested in booking, they can go on to alienated.ie. So if you're interested, that free webinar this evening at 6 p.m. on parental alienation. If you want to register for that, go into alienated.ie on the internet, and you'll get the information there.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
My family needs refreshing. So we're off to Centre Parks.
Reconnecting with nature.
Reinvigorating with a cycle ride. Reviving in the subtropical swimming paradise.
Returning to our exclusive lodge. Relaxing together. Centre Parks. Family refreshed.
Milford Tiles, wood flooring and bathware. Milford Retail Park now open. Large range of wall and floor tiles on display and in stock. Over 70 different laminate floors to suit every pocket. Tilers and wood fitters available. New bathware showroom now open. Milford Tiles, wood flooring and bathware. 083 091 0707.
Donegal Hearing Clinic, now open at Pierce Road, Letterkenny and Buncrana, now offering state-of-the-art rechargeable hearing aids free with your PRSI. Also pain-free microsuction wax removal services. Call 07491 88470 or donegalhearingclinic.ie. Life sounds brilliant with Donegal Hearing Clinic.
Inflation-busting offers from Lidl help make your money go further. With products from across our incredible range, you could make your family a week's worth of delicious, nutritious meals and round it all off with a big Irish Sunday roast. That's a whole week's shop for a family of 4 for less than €76. Follow Lidl's Inflation-busting challenge online at #Lidl Inflation Busters for further savings tips and offers. And save even more money in store with the Lidl Plus app. Inflation Busters at Lidl. More for you. Products shopped February 15th. See Lidl.ie for details.
Store and Go Springtown Dairy, the north of Ireland's only temperature-controlled smart access individually sized storage units.
Store and Go offers storage for personal storage, house moves and renovations, business storage for excess stock or filing systems. Once signed up, you can access 24 hours a day through an app on your phone, gaining access through 4 levels of security to your most precious possessions.
Call Store and Go Springtown Dairy on 02871 278 900 to discuss your needs and get bespoke advice, or get a free quote at storeandgo.net.
Highland Radio Time Checks, brought to you by Letterkenny Shopping Centre, the centre of shopping in Donegal. Free parking and shopping all under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
The time is now 10:34. Hello, we've had no water in Moville for over 12 hours now. Do you know if this is a widespread issue? The power was out in Moville overnight. I wonder, is a pump affected? Irish Water don't have anything on their website though. Their problems they're highlighting today, unplanned power outage in and around sort of the Rossnella, Ballyshannon area until 2 p.m. People in Coppney, Legany, Donegal town without water again until about 8 p.m. today. That's presumably down to the power outage in that area. And there was a burst water main in and around the Stranola area. I presume that has been repaired. And there was a pump failure too, affecting the Golf Course Road, Kiltoy, Glebe, Letterkenny and surrounding areas. But that was fixed yesterday evening. So they have not notified us of anything as it relates to Moville. But I just wonder... Supply affected elsewhere because of pumps not failing, but presumably affected by the weather. You think they'd have backup generators, but anyway, maybe that's not what the problem was. I don't want to speak outside of my knowledge base. Anyone else suffering the same fate in Moville without water? As I say, can it just be a coincidence that there was a power outage there last night? Can you help this person? They've lost 3 heifers and a calf. 3 heifers and a calf. Calf sounds... I'm saying it wrong. I don't know why it sounds weird. Between Castlefin and Raphoe, though, this is the important thing. So if you've seen 4 animals, it's 3 heifers and a calf. Presumably they're together. Between Castlefin and Raphoe, they appear to have broken out and the wind must have scared them. If you've seen them or you know where they are, maybe they've entered another field in that area. We have the owner's contact details. Clearly, they're going to be very keen to get them back. COVID stopped the hunters killing deer this past 2 years, says a texter, while another says, I was listening to warnings constantly. They even had a triangle with a warning sign over the map of Donegal. RTE were up to speed and even gave warnings for Northern Ireland on the 9 p.m. news. Credit where it's due if they did. I said I wasn't exposed to them, so they were there. That's what that caller says. Right, Raymond Hamilton is in Strelongford, Drumkeen. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Raymond. Lots of love from Breda, Ricky, Gary and Donna. We'll be back after a piece of music from Girls Aloud. Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Chris on YouTube says, any chance of getting Michael McNamara, let me just read that again, any chance of getting Michael McNamara onto the programme to talk about the state of the government? Great, honest speaker indeed. He's been on this show before, and I'm sure he is. Interestingly, though, I remember, and I was quite surprised, Michael McNamara, when there was a vote to remove Minister Simon Coveney from his position, voted against that, actually, to retain Minister Simon Coveney. I would have thought if he was interested in, chopping the tree down, that would have been an opportunity to do so, but he voted with the government in that regard, which I thought was quite interesting. Brian Tapley's network manager with the ESB. He joins us on the programme now. How are you getting on, Brian?
Good morning, Greg. How are you keeping?
Not too bad at all, I suppose, because of our history of bad weather. We've got quite a resilient network, particularly up here in the northwest, but given the nature of Storm Franklin, it did take its toll in places. What is the state of play as we speak?
Yeah, absolutely. So Storm Franklin really hit the northwest over the course of last night. So nationally, 29,000 customers, unfortunately, without power. But if you focus in on, say, Donegal, in South Donegal, there's 4,000 customers without power, particularly in the Ballyshannon and Donegal town sort of areas. If you look towards North Donegal, unfortunately, 5,000 customers without power, and that is focused, I suppose, in Milford, Rosgear, Convoy, Buncrana and Kilcar, kind of an equal share of kind of impact across North Donegal. So our crews are out assessing. The weather is beginning to kind of settle down, so it makes it a bit easier now for us to start and get properly into our fault restoration. Yeah,
last night, overnight, there were some outages around 9-10 o'clock as winds really picked up, and your crews managed to get people back on in the early hours. Were they actually out? Was some of that? Were you able to do some of that remotely, or were the crews actually out in those small hours in really difficult conditions? I mean, it was orange, but it felt like red.
Yeah, so the way we would normally do it is crews will go out overnight to make something safe if it's emergency. We won't necessarily carry out significant fault repair work after 10 p.m. But we'll certainly go out and make something that is an emergency or something that needs to be made safe. And then we do have an element of control from our control rooms, which we'd use to kind of restore supply remotely. But the big repair work starts this morning with our network technicians out on the ground from first light, and I suppose it'll be a long day, and we'll get significant numbers of customers back, but there will be small pockets of customers that will remain out overnight, just given the quantity of outages and the amount of fault repair work we have to carry out.
All right, it's still not fantastic out there, so thanks to your teams, and thanks for that update, Brian. I appreciate it greatly. Take care of yourself. Gary Martin is Director of Emergency Services with Donegal County Council. The third storm, the most impactful, Gary, for a number of reasons. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. Yeah, no, as a previous caller from the ESB was saying, it has been the most impactful of the three that we've had to date. We had an overnight event Saturday into Sunday, substantial rainfall, I suppose, over the Esk and Derg and Finn catchments, and that caused us difficulty on Sunday mornings in the south and the east of the county. And then that led in then, I suppose, to the weather or the wind-related event with Storm Franklin. We've had a substantial number of trees down right across the county, and they are being removed. Many of them have been removed at this stage, and others are being removed this morning. There's some road closures in parts of the county that would have been notified already. The electricity outages has caused difficulty for our colleagues in the water treatment area. And there are a number of areas in the county that are experiencing, I suppose, interruptions in water supply as a result of...
They don't have backup generators for those pumps, do they?
Well, in many instances, Greg, you have a situation where the pumps themselves are actually blocked as a result of debris being churned up.
Okay.
As a result.
So it's not simply no power; it's just the workload.
It's a combination of both. But the biggest impact, I suppose, that people will see on the ground today, I suppose, are the blockages with the trees down and the roads being cleared. We've had road service crews out, I suppose, overnight and this morning. We've had fire service crews out as well in areas including Buncrana and Letterkenny, Ballyshannon and Donegal town as well. And I suppose, look, we're going through the clean-up operation this morning.
Yeah, I mean, it's not often, whilst the first two storms weren't quite as impactful as the weekend storm, they do chip away for the big boy following in behind. So I'm sure there was an element of an accumulative effect there as well.
There was. Look, I mean, these things tend to grind you down. This is the third storm, is it, in 5 days or 5 or 6 days? So I suppose, look, even just staying on top of the emerging conditions, and they've all been slightly different in their own right. One was, I suppose, coastal wind related. The other, I suppose, was snow related, and then this most recent one, I suppose, was on land wind-related issue on the back of substantial flooding. So they all bring their own challenges in their own areas. But I just acknowledge and thank all of our own teams, indeed all of the other emergency response services that have worked so hard over the last 5 or 6 days in responding to this constant stream of storms that we're having at the moment.
Okay, Gary, thank you very much indeed for that. Gary Martin, Director of Emergency Services with Donegal County Council. Never heard such a storm as last night. Hope no serious damage anywhere. I live in Kilmacrennan. Our roads okay to travel on? Yes, the roads are okay. It's with caution though. On the way to work today, I was driving with a little bit of caution, lots of caution. And there was a tree halfway across the road, and you just keep your eyes peeled, and that's other than if you're careful, it's safe. Deer destroy crops, damage fences, spread Lyme disease, and are a serious hazard. I'm not sure about all of that, but this is what that caller believes. They're a serious hazard to road traffic, especially at night. There are beautiful animals, and poaching is barbaric. Long-term solutions would be to make the perimeter fence of Glenveigh Park stock-proof, originally introduced there by landlord Gentry for gaming, with a follow-up planned roundup programme and some culling by Parks. Thank you very much indeed for that. A sad society when it cannot respect nature. Don't forget we put the roads there. Culling, if necessary, for a healthy herd can be accepted. That's what we're talking about here. No one's going up there with an AK-47. Was travelling at the back of Argyll yesterday. There was a herd of around 25-30 young deer. Wow. Just off the road. Beautiful sight, but couldn't stop thinking if they would be okay come dark. Do not cull the deer. Right, okay. I would say that was a beautiful sight. There's a gadget you can buy for under your car that warns the deer. The deer hear it. It's a whistle that we can't hear. Worth getting. Wow, never heard of that. Driving around with so I presume the air travelling is what creates the whistle. And I don't know, that could be completely true, which I'm sure it is, or it could be completely bogus, which I'm sure it's not. It could be either, though. You know where I'm coming from. But I trust my listener. Never seen a worse display by Donegal. This is GA. We'll hold that off and see what Brendan Devaney thinks. What did you think of the game yesterday? Obviously, the conditions were terrible. Obviously, you know, it's the league. There is a building process going on. A lot of the big teams struggling. Dublin now, I think, Niamh Breach might fancy the chances against them. Not literally, but, you know, they're just not the team that they were. I suppose, though, when you've achieved so much, how do you get yourself up for how do you motivate yourself? We talk often about the best team won on the day because they wanted it more, the hungrier team. Maybe that's what's happened to Dublin. The hunger's gone. Other sport, not sure if Brendan Devaney watched it, but you can talk about it too. Amir Khan versus Kell Brook. A lot of people waiting for a long time for that fight. It was about 18 years later than it should have been. Big bragging rights, huge crowd in Manchester to watch it. Kell Brook comes out on top. He looked like a fighter 15 years younger than he actually is. What next for him? Maybe Chris Eubanks Jr. or maybe to retire, having scratched that enormous itch that was his rival with Amir Khan. The ladies were playing GA yesterday as well. A lot of sport. If you want to have that conversation on a Monday, we can do that too, you know. Get your views in. It's not all about serious issues and news, sport. Lots of us are interested in that. If there's an appetite for it, we can do more sport talk on a Monday as well, if that's what you would like. Right, okay. I have to take a very short break. Claire's going to be talking to us about the impact the weather has been having on her home.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Mortgages now available with a personalised service from your local and friendly credit union. Email mortgage@letterkennycu.ie.
At Tesco, we're always looking for ways to make shopping easy for everyone. That's why we're giving one lucky customer the chance to win a brand new Nissan Qashqai. To enter, simply complete your first shop with click and collect on tesco.ie by March 6th. There's never been a better time to shop online. Book your free slot today. Tesco. Every little helps. Terms and conditions apply. Competition open to first-time click and collect shoppers only. Purchase required. Open to Irish residents aged over 18. Offer valid only until the 6th of March. For full terms and conditions, see tesco.ie.
Central Auto Parts really do stock everything for all makes and models of cars. Shocks, springs, wipers, mats, brakes. Need I go on? And now stocking Celimix and Sunny Car and Commercial Paint. Central Auto Parts, Portlink Road Business Park, Letterkenny. Find us on Facebook or call us on 074 9127 491.
The good times are back. The highly acclaimed Joe Dolan Show Remembering Joe is back in Letterkenny for one night only. And what a party it will be. St. Patrick's Night, Thursday, March 17th, eve of the bank holiday at the Clanry Hotel. The spectacular show starring brother Ben Dolan, nephews Adrian and Ray, niece Sandra, Karen Carroll, plus the original Joe Dolan Band will have you rocking and rolling in the aisles at the Clanry. Celebrate our national holiday in style. Tickets now available at the Clanry Hotel, 0749124 369. Remember, there's no show like a Joe show. Always a sellout. Book now.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey, Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey, Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Teagasc will hold a tillage seminar this Wednesday night, the 23rd of February at 8 p.m. in Angrenan Hotel Burt. Speakers are Shay Phelan, Teagasc Crop Specialist, Stephen Robb, Irish Farmers Journal, and Gareth Devaney, Agricare Crop Specialist. Topics include winter and spring crop management, outlook for tillage, and malting barley options for Donegal growers. All welcome.
Okay, so, a lot of us, the majority of us, were worried about the storm, but a lot of our houses are secure. I know people lost slates and stuff. I'm not for a moment playing that down. But for thousands of people, when storms come, it's a very different experience, because it's not just maybe a roof tile or guttering or a shed or a trampoline that's at risk, or a wheelie bin for that matter. It's actually the structure of a house. And we're talking, of course, about houses affected by mica. Claire lives in one of those and joins us now. Hiya, Claire.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. Can you talk to us a little bit about when you hear of storm warnings in your home, how it feels different for you?
Well, the anxiety levels become very high. I mean, my house is at a very advanced stage of deterioration. So I have a lot of cracks. They're everywhere, really, to be honest. You couldn't find a space in the house now that isn't cracked. But the corners in particular are really, really just hanging on there. Huge big cracks, especially around the kitchen and the utility room inside and out. So, I mean, you're afraid of proper structural damage. I mean,
to the extent, presumably, you leave nothing of value anywhere near the house.
Well, I certainly don't leave any human near that part of the house. That's the most valuable thing. Children, I kept the children away, moved Arian out of his bedroom. I've got 2 teenage boys, and I slept in with Oren. My husband was working this morning, so I just wanted to leave him and try and see if he could try and get some sleep.
So why did you move one of the children out of their bedroom?
Well, the noise in particular in his room is just horrendous. I mean, the noise in every room, it seemed to be coming from every direction last night. I've never, normally you know what direction the wind's coming from, but I'm sure everybody experienced that themselves, that it seemed to be coming from all angles. So every room was noisy, but in particular his room, the windows are very warped in his room. And I had them taped up with duct tape, but it just wasn't enough last night. So and keeping everybody away from this end of the house, which is worse. And I know that there's other people who have mica in their homes, and they did the same thing. They slept downstairs, or they got everybody, to the safer end of the house. Because you're always wondering or waiting, is that chimney stack going to come down, or is that wall going to give way in any given day? But with that wind, with that extent of that wind constantly pushing, you just don't know if tonight's the night. Exactly. And, the anxiety levels are there now all the time. When your house reaches a certain stage, the anxiety is always there. It's never really out of your head. But on a night like last night, I haven't seen the news. I'm only out of my bed because I was, like everybody else, didn't sleep.
Catching up this morning, I get you. Yeah.
Absolutely, trying to catch up anyway. But, I mean, it must be one of the worst storms we've ever had.
Felt like it, yeah. Felt like it. It was the length of it. It was how long it was. It was the, yeah.
Yeah, and that build up to it as well was very stressful. You know that, it's going to come at 1 o'clock when it already for hours had seemed so bad. You know that thought of how can it get any worse? And then to hear that it was going to go on till 6 was like, how are we going to get through?
And I know it feels like sort of the most obvious thing in the world to say, but wouldn't you just love to get Dara O'Brien, some of those civil servants, give them the house for 2 weeks, let them live and experience it. Would they change their views? Would there be more urgency? Would there be a better understanding?
I think if they were here last night, or even on any night, to be honest, and they actually saw with their own eyes and put their hands in and pulled out the crumbling block, I mean, I think that they would be shocked. Even though they have the information, it's not the same as experiencing it and living in it. And, last night, like a lot of people, I was on Facebook and I was on Twitter, and the level of anxiety and upset and stress,
and we can't forget either that those are real emotions. And when I say we, not you because you feel it, but the population that aren't directly affected by this, that understand that those are real ongoing emotions. Imagine yourself having to live your life like that. It doesn't ease, it gets worse. Those not directly affected, maybe the impact of those words eases. Do you get where I'm coming from? But we should never forget, Claire, that this is ongoing. Even if the best scheme in the world was announced tomorrow, a lot of those anxieties of living in a safe property or an unsafe property would persist.
Oh, absolutely. And I think even if we were given 100% redress, the worries and the stress will change because it won't be so much monetary, but we would still have to, clear our houses out and get rid of all those things that hold all those memories. And we're still going to have to endure living wherever we're going to be living. It's not going to be at home. And then we're still going to have the stresses and strains of a build. This isn't something that's going to be fixed. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that this is ongoing, and long-term stress is very, very damaging. Greg, it's very damaging.
Listen, I'll let you. Hope maybe you can grab an hour in the afternoon as well. Thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Before we go, Greg,
yes, go ahead.
The song that from Don't Fear the Natives, I know I sent you the press pack there. I would like everyone to get behind us. This song, written by Dennis Kelly, is a very, very powerful song. It's going to be released tomorrow on every platform globally. And I think it's if we try and get this song to number one now, this week, before this announcement on the 28th, I think we will send a very, very clear and strong message to the government. We don't want to hear 1,000 reasons. We don't want to hear any excuses. We don't want to hear any caps or any,
just chat.
We want
Solutions.
to hear the right thing. We want to hear. And if your listeners could get behind us, maybe Highland would play the song so they can hear it.
Yes, I will indeed, Sharon. You're slightly ahead of me, but I got your press pack. I appreciate it.
Brilliant.
And as I committed to you, well, you know what I said to you, and I'll follow that up. Thank you.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much.
Take care of yourself. Okay, now Sharon's going to be joining us, but we do have to break for the news. So if Sharon doesn't mind holding.
Do you currently have vacancies that need urgently filled? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Simply sign up to our new job spot and we will tell our listeners about your vacancies both on air and online. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows, we will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. All job listings will be available online at highlandradio.com. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 25322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, we're here for you.
What are you after then?
We need someone on the inside. Someone who was there. Someone who...
Pull the trigger?
Yeah, pulled the trigger.
I can't go back there again. Up here, I can't see those things again. I won't allow it. I can't allow myself to...
You owe us. Young men crawling along their home streets, shot down like rats.
Shooting started. No one shouted stop.
Cease firing! Cease firing!
No one shouted stop. An incident with Dave Cotter. A new play about Bloody Sunday at the Ballor Theatre, 23rd, 24th of February.
Hi, Hugo Duncan here, and I'm bringing you my classic country show to the Millennium Forum, Derry, on Thursday the 24th of February. I'll be joined there by my good friends Susan McCann, Tony Allen, John McNichol, Niamh Lynn, Crawford Bell and Trina Allen. Tickets from the theatre box office and online.
When it comes to herding up the latest news, views and reviews on farming in Ireland, nobody does it like the Farming Independent. Chasing down key stories, trends and topics from the ever-changing world of farming and agri in Ireland. So pick up the Farming Independent every Tuesday and get the lay of the land. Up close and independent.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Ronaldo, De Bruyne, Cavani. You can now see both Manchester teams in action with Ryanair's twice weekly service to Manchester. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okay, very windy this morning with strong to gale force northwesterly winds, severe or damaging gusts, but they will quickly ease through the morning, leaving scattered showers that will eventually die out. 11 o'clock, in fact, a minute past 11, and it's over to Catherine Gaffney. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Greg. The Director of Emergency Services at Donegal County Council says that Storm Franklin has had a huge impact on Donegal. It is the third storm to hit the country inside a week. The council is continuing a clean-up operation right across the county this morning, following a substantial amount of fallen trees and debris. Meanwhile, ESB crews are working to restore power to thousands of homes and businesses following the storm. Milford, Rosgear and Convoy are among the worst affected areas. The ESB says they hope to have power restored to all areas tonight at the latest. Sinn Féin's health spokesperson is expressing concern about the impact the lack of reform in the health system is having on people. The Business Post has leaked recordings of the Department of Health's meeting with the HSC, claiming its recruitment crisis could affect the opening of new hospitals. The Health Watchdog has published inspection reports on 5 facilities in Donegal. A number of non-compliances have been identified in some of the centres. The Foreign Affairs Minister says the EU must focus on preventing war in Ukraine, not preparing for its response. Simon Coveney is in Brussels today to discuss moves that could de-escalate tension in Eastern Europe. Serious concern has been raised over a reported large increase in the number of deer in Donegal and the potential dangers that they pose. There are claims that several motorists have had their cars damaged as a result of deer jumping out onto roads. And the Minister for the OPW has agreed to meet with Donegal County councillors to discuss a number of planned flood relief projects for Donegal. It's after the OPW was heavily criticised in recent weeks by a number of councillors over refusing to attend meetings. That's it for now. We're back with a further update for you at 12 noon.
Thank you very much indeed, Catherine. Okay, Sharon, sorry for holding you. I appreciate you taking the time out to chat to me this morning.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm all right, but how are you, more importantly? What's the last week, and I suppose particularly the last couple of days, been like for you and your family and your home?
To be honest, Greg, I didn't get much sleep last night because every time I heard a gust of wind, I nearly was holding my breath to see what was going to happen. It's been quite scary this last few days with all these storms. Because like many other houses have mica, and the storms just aren't helping because there's water coming into the houses, there's moisture coming in, and then with the wind, then things just get a little scary. And
in a situation that you should never ever be in, you find yourself getting used to the water coming in, used to the dampness. And then everything's elevated by the wind. You know, your normal is a completely unacceptable situation.
Yes, it definitely is, Greg. my boys are out of their bedroom since January 2020 and are now sleeping in what was our sitting room because the dampness coming into their room upstairs was just not healthy. I couldn't keep them in the room any longer. And as I say, it doesn't sound right, but I've got used to the dampness. But now our roof has moved slightly because of the gable wall is not able to support the weight, and that's the scary part because we have bison slabs, and I actually put a post up on Facebook last night, and I've got a huge response to it. But Greg, I didn't put that post up for attention. That was just how I was feeling last night.
But you know what you
last
do?
night I was afraid.
Yeah. But
For
what
the
you're doing,
safety
Sharon,
of
is
my
you
family.
the reason it gets a big reaction is because you're speaking on behalf of a lot of people that feel the exact same way. It must feel like you're living in a house of cards. You know, we all, when we were younger, maybe built a house of cards, and you just blow it or you push one side of it and it goes over. Particularly with the bison slab, it must feel like, is there enough pressure on that gable now that it's going to literally push this concrete house of cards over? Is that how it feels when you're living in it?
That is how it feels, Craig. I couldn't put it into better words. I do feel we are living, as you said, in a house of cards. And if the wind blows the right way, will the house come down? And the fear is that it most probably will at some point. And as to how much time we have in between, no one knows.
How do you make that call, Sharon? Because you've moved your young ones from their bedroom, and that, you know, it's not. We have to remember the emotional side of this. So you go to two fellas, I think you said there were two boys, and you say, right, you're moving into the old front room, and then you have to explain why. Because if I went to my boys, or one of them's a man now, but I says, right, you're moving to the front room. I mean, they're good lads, but they wouldn't just pick up and go, no problem, Dad, I'm off there now. You know, so it's on a big level and it's on a micro level. That you're having to make these decisions and live your life like that. It must be incredibly tough, and it's tough on everybody in the house.
It definitely is, Greg. And I mean, the children are talking about it at school, and children at 7 and 8 and 9 and younger shouldn't even know what mica is, or shouldn't. We try and not talk about it in the house in front of the children as to how scary things are and about the dampness and everything. We try to protect them as best we can from it, but they know, and they see the water coming in through the doors, and they see the cracks in the wall. They know, and really, children should feel safe in their homes, and everyone should feel safe in their homes, Craig. But we don't.
Yeah.
We don't at the minute. And I was listening to your conversation there with Claire, and I would invite Darryl Green and Michael Martin and whoever would like to come and stay in our house.
For free. We'll not even charge
them.
For
free.
Yeah.
They're more than welcome to come and stay in my house and live in our shoes and see what we face every day.
So you look at the weather forecast in a completely different way to others do, Sharon. You're wondering, is this the one?
Yeah.
And then we're talking about snow now and wind. That snow and cold and damp blown into the cavities that aren't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And all the impact that has.
If that freezes, Greg, and then the blocks expand, that's doing more damage.
Is that the tipping point for that gable? Bearing the weight of that floor?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Listen, and do you know, Sharon, and this is the point I really want to get across, is the wind subsides, but everything is still there. Your problems remain. It could be anything that causes... Like, when... Is it going to take a house coming down on a family to fast track all of this that will not have that... And I really, really want to swear, and I shouldn't, but that BS of, well, it has to go through this house, and then that has to happen, and we're waiting on this decision from... If a house goes down on a family, Sharon, the world's media will be in Donegal, and everything will move so quickly all of a sudden. It can never move quickly enough because we can't build all of these houses all at the same time. But if a house comes down on a family or a young person or something, all of a sudden, all of the barriers that are in the way will be lost. All of the civil servants that are arguably trying to frustrate the situation would all of a sudden be very, very, very quiet. Do you know where I'm coming from? I'm
I
so
totally
angry
agree.
because that's what would happen, and I know that's what would happen.
But, Greg, why does it have to take something like that to happen before the government act?
Because they get embarrassed and shamed into doing something. It's simple as that.
Yeah, but at what family's expense? Is it going to be my family?
No.
Is it going to be the family across the road from me?
It can't be any family. They have to do it without that push.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm going to get emotional, Greg.
No, well, listen, that's okay, and it's understandable, and you would have to be made of stone not to be emotional, because you're there, and your husband or your partner, Noel, are there. It's your house, and you're there to protect your family, and that's been taken out of your hands to some extent because of this awful, crappy crisis.
Yeah, and even though we've weathered the storm last night, we aren't sure if there has been other damage that we can't see yet, and that's the scary part as well. You know, has our roof moved another little bit that we just don't realise yet? It's just a nightmare. I would just like to say, Greg, I got a huge response, and my phone had 1 million messages this morning with people offering help and offering us refuge for the night. And I just want to say that I really thank those people for their kind gestures. But really, I shouldn't need to move my family out of the house.
No.
You know, for a night because of the storm.
No, it's built of...
And I just think that someone needs to help all the families in this situation.
All right. Well, I'm going to cut this audio out, if you don't mind, and I want to tag the people that are making these decisions into it so they can hear the reality of what's going on here, because they need to realise what's going on. And there are so many people, Sharon, listening to you. You're the voice of them today that are saying that's exactly what it's like for us. That's what we're enduring. So I know it's tough for you, and clearly it's emotional for you, but you've done a brilliant thing in very, very difficult circumstances. And I just hope that very, very soon people cop on and something is done for you and all the others affected by this.
Thanks, Greg.
Take care, Sharon, okay?
Thank you.
All right, take care. Sharon's upset and emotion doesn't conclude once that telephone call concludes. She has to live with that for the rest of this morning and into this afternoon and evening, and wake up tomorrow morning in the exact same situation and await the snow and the rain that's due. Right, okay. One more bit on the weather before we chat to Brendan Devaney after this break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
This week on the DL Debate, as our county footballers resume their Division 1 campaign away to Kerry, we'll get a full roundup of all the action with Donegal News dynamo Ryan Ferry. And as our ladies footballers travel to Gone Westmeath, we'll speak with county star Katie Hearn on the game and on her work with All-Ireland club champions Kilcoo. Plus, Irish News GA correspondent Brendan Crossan will be on the line to round up all the weekend's GA action. All this and much more podcasted on HighlandRadio.com and just after 7pm news on Highland Radio.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9pm daily in Sarah's Kitchen.
We're Danielle, Kevin and Bonnie. We took the challenge and swapped to Aldi.
The price difference is insane, like the nappies and stuff. She loves all the baby food, and we feel like, you know, we don't even need to read, like, say, the ingredients on the back of the baby food anymore. The quality is just incredible. I was terrible at saving money, but now I'm great.
We actually probably would have saved more. The middle aisle didn't exist.
Yeah, but it's so much fun.
Aldi, the home sweet home of swap and save. For further information, see aldi.ie.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor offers the most advanced skincare treatments for men and women, treating conditions such as acne, skin tags, rosacea and scarring. As a qualified aesthetics practitioner, Mary Ferry offers a range of anti-aging treatments including dermal fillers, thread lifts, profilo, skin boosters, microneedling and LED light therapy. Hair and makeup also available. Download the Genesis Salon app today or call 07495 32575.
Most people say that Donegal is the coolest place on the planet, but up here we know that sometimes it can be the coldest. Charles Bunner & Sons Ballybuffet is the one-stop shop for all your heating needs. We have a huge range of multi-fuel and wood pellet stoves and ranges, spare parts for all major stove and range brands, plumbing and bathroom wear, all at exceptional prices. So visit our showrooms where our friendly and experienced team will be ready to help you. Charles Boner and Sons Ballybuffet and the stovestore.ie, where you can always do a good deal better.
Need a new part for your Ford car or van? Why not call to OMS Auto Parts in Buncrana? With a massive stock of Ford parts, you're sure to get the part you need. Free next day delivery on orders over €50. Call 074 9361924 or shop online at omsautoparts.ie.
Okay, you're welcome back to the programme. We're joined in studio now by Brendan Devaney, presenter of the DL debate. It's good to have you in again, Brendan. What is the crack?
All good, Greg. All good.
Kerry versus Donegal yesterday. What can we say? I mean, listen, I'm an armchair supporter. I thought, right, well, Donegal's going to really come on in the second half. If the weather was a factor, it really didn't happen. It was a bit of a, I don't know. What do you think? You're the expert.
I'm the expert. I'm not sure, Greg. I'm a bit like yourself. We're all supporters now, but I think an understrength Donegal team going down there, I stopped kind of worrying about the result probably, Greg, when I seen the team. And listen, going to Kerry and Killarney, listen, very few teams ever won there. I mean, even if we had full strength, we'd still be odds against us. So you're more kind of looking at how individuals are performing.
Is it a building process at the moment or what?
Well,
or is it just the league?
You know, as I say, the likes of, say, Keelan McGonigal, Langan, Murphy, Neil McGee, you know, Jamie Brennan, all these lads are missing. So the build is probably coming from the back. You know,
okay, would just playing devil's advocate here, does that show lack of depth in the squad then? In terms of, you know, we've seen in the past when these big players are out that others step up and they're blooded or they get experience against a huge team.
Yeah, well, I think possibly if this was home to Kildare, that you might have seen a different type of team. I think conditions as well. Right? The whole thing was dire.
Yeah.
I think for us at the back, the likes of Brendan McCole, I think, and Keelan Ward and McFadden Ferry, and these are the lads have to step up for us now in our defence. You know, you've obviously for years now, Owen Ban has been in there, more an attacking type player. So Paul Brennan, it's a matter of us getting that defensive solidity, because there's no doubt going forward we can take any team on, but I don't think we were going to be judged on yesterday. That said, there was a wee goal chance there with 6 points in it, would have brought back the 3. Ryan McHugh intercepted, tried to give it to Paddy, but you're clutching at it. Even at 3, Kerry would have seen at home. So I think for Declan Bonner, he wouldn't have, I think, earmarked this as for points in the league anyway. So.
And I suppose too, you know, do we ever want to go down the route of sort of like what you might see amongst soccer supporters, you know, where every game is amplified? Oh, that's absolutely brutal, or that's absolutely amazing. That we have to remember that this is an amateur sport, and we're building towards the summer of the full summer of sport. Hopefully,
it's interesting you say that, because there was a lot of attack on Donegal after the Mayo game that they coughed up this lead in Mayo, and there's a lot of question marks. Mayo go in and beat Monaghan and Clonus. They go and beat Dublin well the last night, and suddenly you're looking at thinking, well, you know, maybe we actually played pretty well in that game in stages, and I think that has to be taken into context. So you're right, there seems to be maybe a wee bit of harsh criticism come in for Donegal straight after that. They had a good victory against Kildare. We didn't think anything, I think, of this Kerry game too much, particularly under strength. But big game with Tyrone next week, of course, coming down the tracks. That'll
be exciting, exactly, and everyone will be up for that. And I you know, like the players hear this too, and the thing about the GEA twos, they are of the community, you know what I mean? So maybe we have to be a wee bit conscious of that as well.
Yeah, well, this has gone on for a long time, Greg. The fact that players are amateur, and then you're like, how much does the criticism? I think most of the time lads as well shielded from it, and I think all your decent fans understand the work.
I was going to say,
you know,
I would say,
you're going to always have
go and stand at a training session, you know, at the first week of January and critique that. Because that's where the slog's put in, isn't it? But anyway,
and even the early morning gym sessions now, Greg, that weren't there in my time.
Yeah, but it's not as dramatic as my image of the
true.
cold outdoor. You know what I mean? Your nice warm gym
if you start
with, you know, tell me something good banging in the background. That's all right.
You see, you like the.
I want to be dramatic.
The gym would suit you, see, because you'd be doing a bit of posing on there.
Well, we were in Rush Fitness on Friday morning, and I was exhausted just walking out of the building, watching other people do it. Right, okay, so you've got Ryan Ferry on to talk about the Kerry v Donegal game. Presumably, I can't imagine you won't look forward to next week. Katie Heron is on. Donegal did all right?
Yeah, back-to-back ones for them. Fair play away to Westmeath after their victory last week. So good start for them, and as well, Katie was involved with Kilcoo, as we mentioned last week, and doing the stats for them. So interesting that someone from here was involved with the team on the other side of the province. So interesting to see how all that came about. So just looking to talk to her, and then Brendan Crossing's on from the Irish News, and just to wrap up all the Ulster teams are lording it at the minute.
Okay.
It's looking like we could have 5 Ulster teams in Division 1 next year, which would be phenomenal.
Amazing. But do you want that to transfer into titles? You don't think you fancy Mayo to win the All Ireland this year? You don't think Tyrone's going to be able to retain?
Yeah, but no reason
not
why
putting
not.
words in your mouth, but I'm just kind of,
Are you really going for Mayo at this stage?
I just get the feeling that's the
See,
I'm reading the room.
This Mayo feeling is every year. It never seems to go away, the critters. But I wouldn't mind if it was them this year, if it wasn't also good.
All right, listen, I know you've got to get that show together, so I won't delay you any further. Right, that's Brendan Devaney. It's a DL Debate podcast here on Highland Radio. You can listen to it at your leisure as soon as it's posted later today, and you can listen to it on air after the news at 7 o'clock today. Ryan Ferry from the Donegal News is on, going through Kerry v Donegal. Katie Hearn is on, talking about the back-to-back victories for Donegal, and a roundup of all the GAA news with Brendan Crossan.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
Mega deals now on at Curry's. Save €430 on the LG American style fridge freezer, now €1099. Get the LG 50-inch 4K TV, now €699. Save €260. And save €230 on the HP laptop with 512 gigs of storage, now $649. Get in store or online at currys.ie.
Ireland's Queen of Country, Philomena Begley's 60 Years in Showbiz concert is coming to the Clanry Hotel Letterkenny on Friday the 4th of March with special guests Ray Lynham, Mclafferty and Aidan Quinn. Tickets for this show to remember are on sale now from the Clanry Hotel on 9124369.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at the Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
June 2022, August 2022, January 2023. Is that what you're hearing when inquiring about the delivery of a new vehicle? Guess what? That's not the case at iMotors. Call in today and choose your new car with immediate delivery available across our full range of Nissan and Kia models. Drive away in your new 2022 car. Call iMotors in Letterkenny and Malin on 07491 34567.
This summer, holidays are go with Jet2 Holidays and Atlantic Travel. So go discover our amazing destinations with 22 kilograms of baggage included. Ask the experts at Atlantic Travel about your next Jet2 holiday by calling 074 912 6193 and book now with just a £60 deposit per person. Jet2 Holidays. Package holidays you can trust. Subject to availability and conditions.
Derry Strabane Enterprise Week is back Monday 7th to Friday the 11th of March, celebrating its 10th year with a host of free events and workshops designed to promote growth boost, adaptability and recovery for your business. Check full programme and register derrystrabane.com/Enterprise Week.
Highland Radio Time Checks, brought to you by Letterkenny Shopping Centre, the centre of shopping in Donegal. Free parking and shopping all under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
The time's 24 minutes past 11. We welcome onto the programme now former County Councillor Noel McBride. Thanks for joining us, Noel. Appreciate your time.
Good morning, Greg.
Good to have you with us. Right, do you think there was enough focus on driving home the message as it relates to the weather? Maybe if Matern had said it was red, there'd have been more concern, or what do you think?
Well, I suppose, Greg, if you look at the figures, the highest one speed ever recorded in Ireland was on the 16th of October 2017. That's 171 kilometres per hour at Fastnet Lighthouse in Cork. Last night at 1 a.m. it was 234 kilometres per hour at Mallinhead. So I think it speaks for itself. Like, you know, we were aware of the storms last week. We've had 3 of them in a week. But last night was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. To be honest with you, look, I've heard you comment that you could hardly sleep yourself. I don't think I slept hardly last night either, and many, many others like me and like you. But it's just, you know, to give people that chance to be that wee bit prepared. If you're given a warning, if you're given a proper warning.
Because we know the likes of the likes of the Donegal Weather Channel and Carlo Weather, who we were speaking, they were pushing it in fairness, saying, look, this is going to get worse before it gets better overnight. And the way the 2 storms during the week were treated, you know, reporters in every region, what's the situation there, all that kind of stuff, that was absent as far as I could see at the weekend. A caller did say, look, there was a big push in it at 9 o'clock with a warning triangle over Donegal. But, you know, this is people's safety and well-being. I just wish we could do it in a different way. So it's not just dependent on what day of the week it is or who happens to be on the editor's desk for a national TV or radio station on any particular day.
Yeah. Well, look, my son-in-law is a fisherman. He is, at this moment in time, he's in port in Denmark. He was in sheltering the storms there this week. Now, Brian was texting home last night to Roisin, my daughter, to say that what he could see on the, look, fishermen, as you know, they're, I suppose we'll call them experts on weather patterns and that. But he was texting home last night to say that he never saw anything off the coast of Donegal like it in his life, you know, when he looked at the weather patterns. And Brian's at sea for a good number of years. But, you know, it's just, look, put it to you this way. Look, we've heard of the warnings around Dublin, the warnings around Cork, and no disrespect to Dublin or Cork, but we are no different. We deserve the same. We hold the same values, we deserve the same warnings, we deserve the same attention in Donegal as they do elsewhere in the country. But last night now was frightening. There was times I thought the roof was going to go off my home here, you know. And I suppose, Greg, that's one part of it. But look, when I was holding there for a while, I was listening. I didn't hear all of Claire's comments, but I did hear Sharon. And to be honest with you, Greg, it was bringing a tear to my eye to listen to her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you think of those people in Donegal last night, and indeed in other parts of the western seaboard that have Mike in their homes, perhaps if they had got the proper warning, and just call it the proper warning about the storm last night, they might have been a wee bit more prepared. Like those Sharon in particular, that I heard most of her comments, it couldn't but bring a tear to your eye. You know, those people, their homes are going to fall down around them. If anything had happened, and you said it yourself, nothing's going to be done here until something happens. And, you know, those houses are crumbling. They are the house of cards. Those houses could crumble around those families at any time.
And there's plenty around you too. It's all over the place. You know?
Well, it's all over the place. It's all over the place. In fact, you know, that Sharon talked about the water coming into the house. I was in a house in Letterkenny where somebody rang me one day to look at, you know, I sell paint. I'm a painter by trade, and rang me one day if I would give them some idea how to get rid of a damp problem in the house, and I couldn't believe how bad it was until I went and looked at it. But you know, I can. It brings it home to me what I've seen in Letterkenny.
Yeah, I get you.
And what Sharon was talking about.
All right.
Like, those people deserve, and can I put it to you this way? Those one warnings or no one warnings, we should have had the same warning in Donegal last night as I had in other parts of the country during the week. For no other reason to give those people, those families who are living in those houses of cards at the moment, a chance to prepare themselves in whatever way possible.
Yeah, but the problem is other than prepare themselves emotionally, if that's possible, you can't do anything to resist these winds in these houses. But I take your point, Noel. Thank you very much indeed, Councillor, former Councillor there, Noel McBride. Those 3 heifers and a calf that were missing between Castlefin and Rafo. The caller says, thanks a million, Greg. My cattle have been found. That's a huge relief, and thank you to your listeners. Well done to you listening wherever you are that helped that caller. We have them back with their owner, which is great news. I've been watching GEA for nearly 50 years, never seen a worse game than yesterday. I actually thought I was watching a game of basketball. Well, we've been talking about the weather. Those guys, I'm not defending it, but you wouldn't put a cat out in that weather, and they were out playing football, and it has to have had an impact on it. But on to the mica issue. My heart goes out to the mica families. My house doesn't have mica, but last night my home was creaking. I could not stop thinking about the mica families. Another, Greg, my heart is breaking for all these families suffering for someone else's mistakes, and our government has a lot to answer for. This is awful. Another, I'm crying listening to those people living in mica houses, and all I have is dirty windows. What can we do for them? Greg, mica home owners will face bigger issues after Wednesday. We have had days of rain and wind. Wednesday's bringing frost, which will see the blocks expand and crumble. Families need to take extra care this week. Are we in similar conditions as was it 2010, where an awful lot of houses degraded very quickly because of particularities of the weather? I hope not, but I just hope that the families know that we've had dozens and dozens of messages in solidarity with them, and they aren't alone in these difficult situations. Greg, can we really not send wee Johnny and Mary to school because the power is off? A wee bit of cold never killed anyone, and it'll all be well wrapped up. Are we creating a nation of softies? No, we're just trying to keep people safe. But I take your point. Another, Greg, it's Dara O'Brien you need to have on the radio to hear those house owners. God love them. Everyone's thoughts were with them during these stormy nights. Well, I'm going to cut Sharon's comments. I mentioned it to her. She seemed okay with it. And I'm going to tag it in on Twitter, whether he runs his Twitter account or others do. They need to hear the reality of what life is like for many, many, many people, thousands of homeowners, people living in these homes, people living in council properties that are in the same state, and other buildings too. People farmers going out to check their agricultural sheds to see if their livelihood has been blown over because the blocks are defective. People checking to see if the community hall can open this week if no further damage has been done. It's right across the board in different areas of life, be it private homes, holiday homeowners as well will be wondering if they can get down to check their properties. As I say, farmers, public buildings. It's the reality, and we can't forget about it either. Okay, right. We have to take a very quick break. Still more to come. Stay where you are. A bus driver had a window smashed because someone chucked a snowball at it. It's very serious. Could have been much more serious. Stay where you are. You'll hear that story next.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union. 9102 127.
Do you currently have vacancies that need urgently filled? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Simply sign up to our new job spot and we will tell our listeners about your vacancies both on air and online. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows, we will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. All job listings will be available online at highlandradio.com. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 25322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, we're here for you.
Electric Ireland customers don't need to do a thing to get Ireland's lowest standard unit rate. That's nothing. Zip? Zero. Because they're already on it. Electric Ireland. We're brighter together. Estimated annual bill €1,274 based on 24-hour residential electricity credit meter standard unit rates, including PSO levy and VAT. Published provider rates at 1st of January 2022, subject to change. For comparison, see electricireland.ie/lowest unit rate. T's and C's apply. See electricireland.ie.
Century Complex is the perfect family day out. Kids will love exploring Century Play. There's lots of tasty options available at Backstage Bar and Grill. And at Century Cinemas, we're showing entertaining kids movies, rom-coms, actions, adventure movies, dramas and more. Call us on 074 91 21976 or visit centurycinemas.ie.
Relax and unwind in the newly refurbished Radisson Blu Hotel Letterkenny, where all 114 guest rooms and suites have undergone a complete luxury upgrade. Get back on track with a visit to the Health Club. Monthly membership deals available from only €32 per month. Drop in and visit the newly refurbished Radisson Blu Letterkenny today.
Okay, our next guest is Neil McLaughlin of McLaughlin Coaches Isle of Doe. Thank you very much for joining us, Neil. I'm sorry it's under these circumstances, but we appreciate you helping us get the word out there. Good morning to you, and tell us what happened. Your son was driving one of your coaches stroke buses over the weekend.
Yes, good morning, Greg. We were heading to Balbuffet, and just coming on down the road, hey, the next thing, I don't know if it was snowballs or stones, but it was a mixture of both, I think. Hit the window, and the inside mirror came off and hit the driver on the shoulder and bounced into the back of the bus. Got a massive shock. A shock maybe that if it wasn't a confident driver that was on, it could have been much worse.
So was this on an open road, Neil? Would your son have been, going at a bit of pace?
Well, from the speed limit.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it wasn't sort of at a junction.
Oh, yeah.
In other words, if he wasn't as competent as he was, he genuinely could have lost control of this vehicle.
Oh yeah, there's snow on either side of him, and if he even took a bit to the ditch or into the middle of the road, he would have caught the snow and God knows what had happened.
Yeah, it could have ended very, very badly indeed.
Yeah.
This wasn't not an isolated instance. You've heard from others who had similar experiences.
Yeah, I was talking to other lorry drivers, and they were in the area around the same time, and it was happening as well. It was when the bus returned from Balbuffet, they were still at it.
And the window smashed, quite worrying, as you mentioned, the inside mirror. That could have struck him in the face. There's a lot of things that could have happened that could have made this... It's a very serious situation, but even worse.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely. I was very lucky no passengers or anything like that was on, if things did turn out the wrong way,
All right, so he was driving the bus. It was on Saturday afternoon at around 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon in the Drumkeen area. These people were at this for quite some time because they were still at it on the way back up. You're facing, obviously, repair costs. And as we said, this could have been much, much worse, as bad as it was.
Oh, not only that, we're faced now with the bus off the road now this last 3 days. The bus was actually to go away on jobs. But she's parked in the shade here now because she's not roadworthy.
Unbelievable. All right. Listen, Neil, thanks for highlighting that with us. I appreciate it.
No worries, Greg. Thank you.
All right. Take care of yourself, Neil. I think really the message is make sure you know what your young ones are doing. That was in the Drumkeen area Saturday afternoon. Hello, Greg. I'd like to see the council to get landowners to cut trees and big hedges on their land and main roads and back roads because we are going to see more storms. Another, all deer should be culled when they're spreading TB and eating the grass on farmers. Glenveigh should be responsible for the deer. That's where they come from first. But it's not just in that particular area, by the way. I know that's kind of been the focus, but there are other parts of the county affected by the deer population as well. Right. Hi, I woke up at 1 o'clock this morning. Sorry, I woke up one morning last week and the deer were on my back street. I wonder, where did it escape from? It probably believes it's its natural habitat. I'm not sure where you're listening to us from. There's a tree leaning on the N13 towards Derry. Presumably that's out of Letterkenny. That's on the N13. We've had a couple of calls on this, people fearful that this tree could come down. Right, so just be careful, and presumably someone's called the council as well. Who would call beautiful animals like deer? Must be some other way to control the increase. Well, they breed like rabbits, and we don't have the land or capacity for them, seemingly. What about all the trees and branches that are causing major problems and death, unfortunately, during storms? Another, hi, could you start a discussion about dangerous old trees overhanging roads? People die needlessly during and after storm. Thank you. Well, listen, about 3 or 4 of you have messaged in. If you want to come on and talk about it, or others concerned of over these older trees and what have you, we can have that conversation. We're having it now, but we can have it in a more detailed way. Well done to our ladies. A good win in Mullingar. should see them into the quarterfinals. Tough on supporters who braved the 500-mile round trip to Tralee just to see our team play sideways and backwards with a gale force wind behind them in the second half and 7 to 8 points in arrears. The dogs in the street know that these tactics won't have us singing about winning matches this summer. That is what I do hear from a lot of supporters. It's, you can have bad performances or not turn up on the day or whatever it might be. The way the ball's being passed left to right and backwards seems to be frustrating a lot of the people I'm chatting to, but maybe, I don't know enough about it to comment too much, but a lot of people out there seem to have an issue with that style of play. This caller says the Donegal team looked like they met for the first time on the bus going to Kerry. It didn't watch the second half, they say. Another, Greg, God love our homeless. It's such a heartbreaking world, people sleeping out in conditions like that last night. Another on sport. Sorry, these are a wee bit jumbled up. That's my fault. I've never seen a worse display by Donegal in a long time. They looked flat and never ran at Kerry. Passed the ball back continuously in the amount of turnovers. Yes, the weather did have a bearing, but Kerry dealt with it and kicked on. We had no plan B. Not good enough. That comes in from a supporter there. And, supporters are there through thick and thin, and they put over a lot of money, and they're entitled to have their point of view as well. Greg, I totally agree with everything you've just said. Why are our TDs not speaking up? I don't know. Hi, Greg. I had to sleep in my sitting room last night as my chimney blocks in my attic are beginning to crumble now with mica. I had to keep the fire going all night to try and keep my brace wall dry as I got up yesterday morning to the brace being wet. I dread to even think what the outside of my chimney is like if the inside's in crumbling. So you know what mica does. You know how it interacts with water, what impact that has. You know how these chimney stacks, the weight of them. It just feels like it's something waiting to happen. We're going to be speaking to that caller, I think, if we have time this morning. If we have time, if not, definitely tomorrow morning. These stories need to be heard. Keep them coming into us.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
What's Santa's favourite colour? I don't know. Run next door and ask him.
Laws in Lapland? Could be. Tune in this Friday to Highland Radio.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
With everything from pedal and electric ride-ons to go-karts and scooters, there's loads of fun guaranteed all year round at Tinny's Toys. If you've a kid's birthday coming up, Tinny's Toys can help make it special or get snow ready with a sleigh. Visit Tinny's Toys on Leck Road, Letterkenny, or shop online for express delivery at tinnystoys.com. Tinny's Toys, with so much more than just farm toys.
Need a new part for your Ford car or van? Why not call to OMS Auto Parts in Buncrana? With a massive stock of Ford parts, you're sure to get the part you need. Free next day delivery on orders over €50. Call 074 9361924 or shop online at omsautoparts.ie.
If you're starting a new business in 2022, call into BizPrint today and get sorted. Logo designed, invoice books, business cards, and all your printing needs. Call BizPrint at Port Road, Letterkenny on 91779555 or visit bizprint.ie.
Visit Derry and experience a world of difference just over the border. See the historic walls, the waterfront, and the famous chill-off licences at Da Vinci, White House, Coolmore, Hatmore and Shantallow, which, for some reason, have suddenly become the #1 attraction. So visit Derry and leave with more than just memories. Please drink responsibly. See drinkaware.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Discover Edinburgh this summer with Ryanair's 3 times weekly service. Stunning architecture, endless winding streets, and an awe-inspiring castle. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okay, let's have a look at the weather forecast. As we know, the winds will be easing now to give way to scattered showers. They'll also die out. There'll be a good deal of dry and bright weather this morning and early afternoon. Winds will ease mostly moderate, I beg your pardon, westerly by afternoon, but cloud will extend from the Atlantic with outbreaks of rain and drizzle developing in temperatures of 7 to 10 degrees. Delighted to welcome onto the programme now Francis Boyle and Yvonne Gillespie. Our Monday focus is 50 years of the Dungloe band. Good morning to both of you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Greg.
It's good to have you with us. Right, okay. Francis, can you give us a bit of a history to the formation of the Dungloe band? I should point out you're the current chairperson of it. Tell us about its formation.
Well, back in 1971, I suppose the thoughts came into the heads of two gentlemen, Pather Quinn. Pather was originally from Glenties and he was the ambulance driver in town at the time. And John Gallagher, a local musician, family man, worked in the Cope, and they thought they would get together and harness the musical talent that was in the area. And it was also a social outlet for children, because back then, as you know, boys were playing football and girls were doing Irish dancing, and this was another, I suppose, added attraction. Upwards of 50 plus children marched on Dungloe Street on 1972, and before 1972 was out, there was a further 30 children. So then the band was split A and B, and then in 73, A and B got together and formed the band, and then 74 there was 20 majorettes added. 2 girls from the locality went down to St. Pat's band and brass band in Kilkenny and learnt the manoeuvres of the majorettes. So all in all, at the end of 1974, there was 108 members in that band.
And that was obviously, it caught the imagination of people. That's a huge group of people wanting to get involved.
Yes, it sure was. Yeah. It just goes to show you that there wasn't that much in local areas for children. So that was a big capture, I suppose, 108 children.
Yeah,
well,
for sure.
And adults,
And so it's 50 years. The first, you referenced there, the first performance was on St. Patrick's Day. That was in 72.
Yes, 1972. The band left the hall in Dungloe and marched up Main Street to the church at the top of the town. It was that time, St. Peter's.
I'd say there's a great sense of pride and huge crowds and everything.
Totally. Pride is the band. There's a big connection with the band from families down through the years. You know, nearly every family in the town had somebody in the band, and some families had 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 members in the band. So the band was part and parcel of Dungloe. We are a very proud town, so our band means a lot to us.
Yeah, of course. I mentioned Yvonne Gillespie, the current music director, with us as well. You were in the band in 2005 when it won the All-Ireland Fleadh. What an experience that must have been.
Yes, Greg. Well, actually, in 2005, I was also on the committee. So I actually joined at the end of 84. So we won the All-Ireland in the Stole in 1985. That was our first All-Ireland. And I was also in it then for the All-Ireland title in Sligo in 1991. And then came back on committee later on in years. And in 2005, we won the All-Ireland in Letterkenny. So it was a great achievement. Yeah. So there's 3 titles in all.
Tell us about the makeup of the band. What in terms of instruments and the number for taking part and winning these titles, Yvonne.
Yeah. Well, the age range was usually between 8 and 18. So we were a junior miscellaneous band, and it was tin whistle, accordion, drums to begin with, and then later on the glockenspiel was introduced. We got tom-tom drums, trios or quads drums, and majorettes. You know, it was every year something kind of was added to it. So that was the range in the junior band. Now in the senior band we wouldn't maybe have the majorettes at the minute, or but we're doing our best to keep.
Well, what day is it? I might be free.
You're welcome.
I fancy being a majorette. I don't know what it is, but anyway, I'm only messing.
You might look nice in a skirt, Greg, all right?
Well, I don't have very hairy legs, if that helps. I'm not sure if that's part of the qualification.
Sort that one out for you.
Okay. I'm sure you would, Francis. And two over the years as well. Firstly, it's keeping something going, isn't it? Because, there will be lulls in interest and maybe key members will walk away or there's another distraction. There's the rehearsing, there's the organising and the... particularly perhaps for WhatsApp groups, ringing around to get everyone to turn up and get that information out. And funding too. It's much more than just that success on the day or that one particular performance. Francis, you can take this one. It takes a lot, doesn't it, to keep it going, keep it funded, keep the outfits up to date and all that stuff.
Well, absolutely. And, we've been very fortunate in that, we have the Development Fund initiative of the Donegal County Council and smaller pots of money like that helping us along, More so funding, a lot of money is needed for the junior bands, whereas the adults, we're kind of funding things ourselves, There's been a lot of highlights, I suppose, down the years for the bands and from junior to adult. And, for me, Yvonne could talk about hers. But St. Patrick's Day Parade 1974 in Dublin, the band went, the 108 went. And Mount Park then in Dublin later on that year, Russia versus Ireland, the late Fran Fields was chairman of the FAI at the time. And between himself and Pat Nora Gallagher, we got to go up there, which was a great outing altogether. And... I suppose culminating in us marching on Fifth Avenue in 2018 as adults. So, and most of us were in the band from 72, some of us latter part of 72. And, the pride that we felt that day was something else, But that was mainly funded by fundraising from the local community and, as I said, the DFI and ourselves. We co-funded it ourselves. So, and it does take a lot of money, and instruments are very, very dear now. So, we're always looking
What
for...
amazing memories to have, though. It's an all surrounding, it all probably came from one meeting that started all of this. Yvonne, we talked about the brilliant turnout back in 72, 73 and into 74. There's an awful lot of distractions. I'm not saying there weren't distractions in the 70s, but maybe there's more distractions now. Is it more difficult to sort of get the numbers and keep the interest alive and with all, as I say, it could be basketball training one night, football the other night, and that's just the younger ones. Is it more difficult now?
It is very difficult, and unfortunately in around 2013 the junior band kind of disbanded at that stage, and that's when we kind of took up the mantle. But our hope now is to get the children back into the band. And I have just recently started tin whistle lessons in the local Skullcronia in Dungloe.
Brilliant.
Just to generate some interest and in the hope of getting a few young people in and, trying to get the junior band back up and running as a junior band on its own. So that is our intention, and hopefully that'll come maybe from the St. Patrick's Day celebrations we're going to have this year. Maybe it'll spur some children on to come into us.
Yeah, for sure. And it's almost a case of come and try it, because if they do, they'll like it. It's getting them into that for that first session, isn't it? It's nice too, isn't it, that it's Dungloe Band celebrating 50 years and with restrictions and what have you easing, that you're able to do the celebration around about the same day, 50 years on, and in a relatively normal manner.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hopefully the restrictions don't come back.
Chris, don't make me mute you. Stay positive, Francis. You didn't come into studio. I can just kick you out of this Zoom call.
No, but weather's about the only thing. If we had night like last night, there was no band going up the street. But our plan is we're going to celebrate it one way or the other. We will be celebrating. We'll have mass and St. Crona's at 12:00 noon. And followed by a wee cup of tea and a trip down memory lane. And then we will march on the street ourselves, the present band with past members. And we're making an appeal to all past members, committee and past members, to make themselves known to us so as they can be part and parcel of the day as well.
So there's an element of a reunion performance, isn't there? Getting the band back together, like.
Yes.
People might hopefully travel home for that, Yvonne.
Yes, we already have confirmation from about maybe 10 to 15 past members that are back on board, practicing away. We have a drummer, my own uncle actually, on snare drum. He was in the original band in 1972, so he's back on drums. Margaret Quinn, Margaret Martin, also an original past member. So we have people coming on board, and we would love more people to come forward, maybe, and let me know.
And if they can't get involved in the practice sessions in St. Crona's NS on Friday nights, they can be still part of it. Still,
yes. Come along on the day and walk behind us, and join in the celebrations. Everybody is welcome. And also, Greg, can I just say as well to all the local bands in the area, in the Rosses area, that every band is welcome as well to come along on the day and march with us on the street. And
absolutely, I know every band has their own agenda or own program on a St. Patrick's morning, but it'd be nice if all the bands, there's quite a number of bands in the Rosses, and they're all more than welcome to join us for refreshments and to march on the street afterwards. Absolutely, we'd be delighted to have them.
It sounds like it's going to be a really lovely day. A bit of nostalgia there as well. Also, being able to get back to celebrate St. Patrick's Day like we're well used to. It sounds like it's going to be a lovely time. Yvonne, we have your number here. I think you've published it, so if anyone wants it, we can pass it on, I presume, if that's okay with you.
Great, that would be brilliant. Yeah, thank you.
And as I say, it's going to draw a big crowd. There's going to be a big appetite for this stuff this year, and it's extra special, Francis, because of that half a century of history to reflect on and chat and reignite old friendships and get new people involved.
A lot of grey hairs and wrinkles, I'll tell you, since the
and you're just talking about me, and I wasn't even there.
But anyway, you did mention about gathering. There was the gathering of 2013. We were all called in for that. It was a fantastic occasion. And a few of the adults thought, well, do you know what? This is a lovely way to pass, maybe for socialising and getting together and being part of something. So that's where the bands go through a phase where they can't get kids and that, as you said earlier on. But a few of us got together, and then Yvonne came in to do the music. So that was us all back on track again. Brilliant. So the more the merrier.
Yeah, exactly. And these things do go in cycles. There are natural lulls in things like this, but it could even be a local G80, whatever it is, there does be lulls and then it comes back. And we hope we're just on the brink of that now for the Dungloe band. Listen, it's been lovely chatting to both of you, and I think it's going to be a beautiful day on so many different levels, purely just because people getting together again, but also the history, the reconnections and all that kind of stuff. It sounds like it's going to be brilliant. Thank you both of you so very much for joining us. I really enjoyed that.
Having us, Greg. Thank you, Greg.
Okay, take care of yourself. Right, so that was Francis Boyle there, and also Yvonne Gillespie. Francis is the chairperson of the Dungloe Band Committee, and Yvonne Gillespie, whose number we can pass on to you, is the music director. If maybe you've got young people that you think they'd benefit from getting involved in something like that, but particularly in the context of the 50-year celebrations, if you want to sort of get the band back together, if you're a former member, get in touch with us and we'll pass on that telephone number. Listen, thank you very much. A very busy Monday morning's programme. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was informative. And we'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 9. Stay tuned. John Breslin is coming up around the Northwest after